Hey, everybody. Welcome to Comic Book Curation. I am Polydub. Merry Christmas, everyone. And, as always, I am joined by Inquisitor 8.1. Quiz, Merry Christmas. How you doing?
Merry Christmas. I'm doing all right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
As good as can be expected, really.
Did you go get a coffee? You said you were retired.
No, I didn't, but I'll
Okay.
manage.
Quiz is going to be a little low energy, little jeb, if you will. And, of course, rounding out our triumvirate of awesome is the one
Please
and only... It's the one and only Jack from Bad Comic Reviews. Jack, Merry Christmas. How are you?
Oh, quality Kwanzaa to you.
Oh, nice. Yes. I love celebrating the holidays of murderers. It's great. Or no, wait a minute. Did he murder or did he just... Oh, he just viciously and sexually assaulted people. Isn't that right?
I don't know. I'm just doing what the PC crowd tell me.
Well, I'll talk about the creator of Kwanzaa. You know about this guy,
right?
We
celebrate people like that now. So,
okay.
As we're going to discuss later today.
All right.
When did Kwanzaa get his own holiday?
No, not that Kwanzaa, a different one.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, man. So, yeah, lots of things have been going on. Lots of stuff. Comics are getting comicsgate, if you will. It's getting hot. Lots to discuss.
Getting gatier.
It's getting gatier. It's true. I don't know. I've been doing a quick roll call to see who's here from the beginning because we always appreciate people showing up to chat before the stream starts because Jack was some goddamn late today. It was awful.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Yeah. Chaos Eve and Platty were here. Jim Healis is here. Fuck. We bring in the big fish. Let me tell you. Let's see who. Oh, this is Kyle is here. And oh, shit. Far's here.
Fuck. Hi, Far.
Well, now I got to watch my mouth. She's going to be recording the whole time.
I love it. The fact that, you sit there and you go off. You say, we have more, I have more subs than the Minions. I have more subs than the Minions. Who has more views than we do?
Oh, I have not.
Everybody.
I have not shied away from the fact that Far gets more views off of my voice than I do. It's true. I actually, as a sign of goodwill during the Advent season, posted the link to Far's channel on the Monkey stream this morning. And I was like, yeah, everyone should go check it out and all this stuff. And hopefully she'll take that warm well-wishing and not be recording what I'm about to say to make fun of me. We'll see, though.
You know that it's going to happen. Wishful thinking. Shady
Grin says I upset Monkey. Yeah. What, you mean, like, recently? Because it happens a lot. Oh yeah, Peter's here and Bad Comic Reviews is here. That's interesting. And Mustafa is here. Yeah. And Rotten Corpse was that. Okay, so we have before we get started, because I always like to do right about this time, is show the sexy thumbnail I worked on because I don't know. Why not? And there it is.
We love you, Lindsay.
Oh, Cynical Lindsay's here. Is she roasting me? I can't see.
Said, holy shit, Polly, you're early.
Ouch. Ouch. Well, I can only get Jack to show up on time some of the time, and you try. Is everyone appreciating the detail that I went into on this thumbnail?
Yes.
Did you notice the gift is for Polly down in the bottom right-hand corner?
Yes.
Yeah, how much you would bet that's from Far?
And it explodes.
Apparently, you didn't answer a question of hers.
I didn't?
Well, is that supposed to be Rachel Summers? You said it was supposed to be Rachel Summers, but it looks like another Zenoscope broad. It is. It's Santa's Little Helper from Zenoscope. Yeah. That's the name of the character, Santa's Little Helper. No. When did I say it was going to be Rachel Summers?
I could have sworn you said Rachel Summers.
Oh, no. Oh, there's something we can talk about. We're ripping off, being inspired by the way Bad Comic Reviews does his short comics pitches over on his channel, and Jack, you should totally drop the link right about now.
Oh yeah.
If you're not subbed, you should. He does these awesome little reviews that are like, what? Generally like less than 10 minutes, definitely, right?
Oh yeah, they're usually like less than 5 because
I was gonna say
I lose interest by then.
3 minutes.
But
yeah.
you know what? I think there's something good about that. Like throwing caution to the wind. Fuck the 10-minute way of massaging the algorithm. You know, when I hover my cursor over certain videos, and I've heard lots of other people say this, it's like, oh, it's a 20-minute video or it's a 14-minute video, that they're like, oh, I'll watch it later, whatever. But when it's a 4-minute, 5-minute, whatever, they're much more apt to click on it. Yeah, I understand it might not show up as often, but Quiz and I were talking about, well, we just comic book quickies. We're just gonna do individual pitches, and we'll do them on our own. Sometimes we'll do them together, whatever. But you can look forward to that on the channel, and then Quiz is going to put them up on his own channel, and then allow me to mirror his over here, which I'll be happy to do, and then that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're just gonna do individual, not pitches, but more like we're ripping off Jack. That's what's going on.
Whatever. I don't care.
Yeah, and that's that. When I was talking about Rachel Summers, sexy Rachel Summers, it was for the little intro thing I'm working on in Sony Vegas for it. That she's the first sexy comic book girl to come up in that little like 10-second intro sequence that I'm animating.
Yeah.
Because Rachel Summers is hot. Accept it. Let me see.
Not the hottest sex man though. That's Rogue.
So it's tough to argue the Savage Land Rogue isn't the sexiest. We've been over this. You said I skipped a question. What was it?
Oh, Far asked a question about your egg of spite. I forgot what it was because I didn't care.
How is your egg of spite going?
I haven't been able to find I did buy a dozen jumbo eggs. I like to use jumbos because it gives you the most egg to work with. But I haven't, and I want to do a Peter Rabbit themed one this year. For those of you who don't understand, I'm talking about a little chicken egg Christmas ornament. I like to make them because they're really challenging and they're difficult, and I love detail work. I want to do a Peter Rabbit one, but I got to find a model of Peter Rabbit that's small enough, and I've had a hard time locating one.
You found that one that was balanced on the end of a dude's fingernail. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you guys want to see that? Holy shit! It was a little mind blowing. Jack, have you seen this?
I'm a miniature guy.
Oh, of course you did. You were on the monkey screen this morning. Duh.
That's even much for me.
I think you could get ostrich eggs and use those.
Yeah, I mean, you could, but I mean, holy shit! Like you're gonna hang it on your tree, and it's gonna like bow the bow. Get
a bigger tree.
I'm not gonna go get a special tree just for my insane ornament. That doesn't make no sense.
Well, I can't help you if you don't want to be helped.
That sounds like quitter talk.
That's right.
Okay, hold on. Let me share the screen over here. Talk amongst yourselves. Or don't talk amongst yourselves. That's fine. There it is for chat. That's the super miniature Peter Rabbit that I found. If you look over to the very far left here, very far right, you will see a tiny little Peter Rabbit sitting there on the side of this tiny little house on this guy. I mean, that's just mind blowing. What is it? I looked up for this micro Peter Rabbit figurine, and this is one of the links that came up, and I was like, oh my god, not that small. I mean, that's even too small for a quail's egg, for Christ's sake.
Yeah. You'd have a lot of landscape to do other than apart from just the miniature that you got.
Yeah.
How OCD was the poor bastard that made that?
This is Kyle says, I think Polly should be progressive and have a man service title card next time. A man service,
man service as in like fan
sexy
service, but man.
Oh, I see.
Lady.
Okay.
It's sexy dude instead of a sexy woman.
No, man. I've already got Ranting Monkey assuming that everything's gay. I don't need him assuming that I'm gay.
A little late on that one.
I'll say this. The problem is that to be progressive, that's one thing, but even women like looking at attractive women.
Yeah, no one wants to look at some Mr. Potato Head looking dude. What do you want, a picture of Matt Jarbo on there?
Yes.
YouTube Voldemort! Stop it!
No, he's the internet referee because he's got all the flags.
Well, over here in the tiny niche of comicdom online, and I mean like microscopic niche. Thank you all for showing up and listening to our nerdery, by the way. Please feel free to like while I'm at it. We have our own internet Voldemorts. We don't need to worry so much about there's certain names that we don't want to bring up because we're afraid that they're going to show up and Grinch up our stream. Yeah.
I would be perfectly fine if she were to come in here and Grinch it up because I know that she would. There's real easy ways to get these people to go away. Just be offensive. Just be as offensive as possible.
I don't think so. Well, okay, I understand what you're saying, but I disagree. I think that they would be, steepling their fingers in their high back chairs, going, "Ha! I have them now." Like every offensive thing you said would be like fodder for them. Wouldn't you say?
When they recover off their fainting couch, that's what they would do.
Yes,
but they have to clutch their pearls first. And the vapors,
the vapors. I had a girlfriend that actually had a fainting couch. It was like her grandmother's or something, and when she moved out, she's like, as if I'm not taking the fainting couch with me, and she would do this whole hyperbole going, "Oh, I don't know what I'm going to do," and fall back on her fainting couch. It was great. I thought it was hilarious.
That is kind of fun.
Yeah. So Quiz, we were talking about the Ultimates and Ultimatum, the Marvel series, right?
Yes. There was a little bit of confusion when Polly and I were having our back and forth about it too, because apparently there's much more to it than just what I've seen, because all I've seen is Ultimatum. And yeah, I don't know, you want to get into that?
I just had a brief little moment based on something we had talked about in that conversation. Let's see. Hold on. I'm going to pop out chat so I don't keep losing them when I
was going to say the big thing for me is that I don't inherently think that storylines like that are necessarily a bad thing. I mean, I like horror movies, and slasher movies are a genre of horror movie. But by the same token, there's a way to do it and make it good, especially if it's going to be superheroes oriented, and a way to do it and make it bad. And I think that the Injustice comics did it really good. Not so much on Ultimatum.
Did everybody else just get this thing in chat? Welcome to live chat. Remember to guard your privacy and abide by our community standards.
That was way earlier when I joined.
Yeah, as soon as you get in it to the chat, like if you refresh, it'll pop back up. It'll do it every time.
Okay, yeah. So it must have just happened because I just popped out chat, and it's like, you know what, YouTube, don't try and paper trail justify your shutting down chats when people start 1480-ing it up in there. Right? Well, we told you to guard yourself.
To safeguard yourself.
Yes.
If you won't protect yourself, they have to do it for you.
Yeah, Big Brother will step in and do it for you.
Now, we were talking about Ultimates 3, and Quiz had his copy of, what was it?
I have just Ultimatum.
You had just Ultimatum, okay, and I had Ultimates 3, and I was talking about the extremely dark color palette. So for a point of reference here, I will present that so chat can know what the fuck we're talking about, and I have some information about that. So if we take a look over here, this is Black Panther versus Venom, or as I like to call it, Indistinct Black Blob versus Indistinct Black Blob. This is an extremely darkened color palette, y'all. I mean, look at this. What's going on? The art itself, in terms of the pencils, I think are great. Quiz and I kind of both agreed on that when we were talking about it earlier. But it's you've completely obscured any of the detail. I mean, the original artist, if you look up here at Black Panther, went through a lot of trouble to draw up individual muscles and everything like that. But they just, they fucked with the gamma so much that it's just gone. Look at other pages here. Like, okay, here's spoilers. Scarlet Witch gets shot, but she doesn't die. There's actually, like, if you look in the background up here, there's, I don't know if you can see, but there's actually people here. It's they're not just,
you can't see it though.
they're not, and there's people over here, and this isn't a floating head with glasses. There's actually a body attached to this head if you look carefully. And I mean, really turn the brightness up on your screen, you can see it.
And Paul, you just gotta go and chroma key all of your copies of
Yeah, that's pareidolia. That's all just background snow.
Yeah, for those,
there's a spooky ghost over here.
I'm just going to take a moment to be proud of myself here. If we go back to the thumbnail, it's not randomly done. The girl pops from the background because I cut her out of the background and then desaturated the background and messed with the gamma and the exposure rate, and then did the same for the image of her standing up in front of it, and turned up her saturation and the highlights on her. So that's why she appears to pop from the picture so much. That's what Quiz is referring to when he says, like, mess with your chroma key in that way. I didn't actually chroma key it, but anyway, that's the exact opposite of what they did here by making nothing pop from the background, by making it all, it's all background.
Black ink was on sale that month, Polly.
Wait. You're actually assuming that any of that was drawn or inked on traditional paper.
I know. It must save electricity for them to use dark color palettes on their boards. What's the Microsoft one that everybody really likes so much, or a lot of people like so much? Surface Pro.
Well, the Surface Pad Pro is the tool nowadays. It's got like a smart stylus and all sorts of shit like that. It's actually really, really damn good for on-the-go digital art. It's just that, you know, any one of them, even like the ones that are like 12 years old, are $2,000.
Yeah, that's the one thing I heard about it, is that, like, the price is through the roof. Like, they're not kidding when they call it a pro. They mean professional. Like, you know, yes. You're either aiming for professionalism, you want the tools of pros, or you are a pro, you know, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Black Romeo says, what's Paulie doing here? He was just on Lords of the Night. I'm assuming that fake lawyer motherfucker was floating around.
Nope.
Is that
Polly Dog, your alternate ego, was there?
Well, I've also heard that Jim is my alternate ego, or I'm his. I don't remember which way it's supposed to be.
Hey, man, maybe you have more than one multiple personality. We're not here judging you.
Well,
it's okay, Medicare. I mean, Polly, air quotes.
There's an easy way to tell the difference between myself and anybody who might sound vaguely similar to me, and I think it is vague. The level of interest the speaker engenders. Mwahaha. That's the way I think about it.
Have you seen P-Dog? He's a handsome man.
Have you seen me? Ladies need fainting couches. Come on now.
True. So that's just more evidence you are the same person.
So if we look at this one other picture, this is the intro to Ultimates Volume 3. Ooh, and it's sexy too. This is this is their version of using a golden color palette. I love that. Like, and they still made it just dark as fuck.
Sepia was on sale that month. I don't know why you're judging them for bargain shopping so much.
Now Quiz asked me, do you not think that this was a bad scan or rendering online where you grab these pages from or something along those lines? Fair comment. But however, no, I actually have a hard copy of this. And I'm sorry, what's that, Jack?
Oh, I was agreeing with you. Yeah.
Oh, it could have been, because there are such things as bad scans or bad digital renders online. It happens totally. But I have a hard copy of this, and no, this is actually the way that it looks. However, this is the collected bookshelf format, which is even darker than the original separate books presentation. I don't understand that. Like, the original is pretty dark. The only difference between the two is if you adjusted the gamma slightly. And so when they went for the bookshelf format, they darkened it even more, to the point where you get what I've been showing you here. So in answer to your question previously, Quiz, yes, this is a little bit darker than the original separate issues, but damn, dude, not by much. So I would... it makes me wonder if, like, okay, so there's editors that do their job, and there's associate editors and executive editors and so on. Is there a final proof editor? One would think that there would have to be in a major operation like Marvel.
Yeah, usually the executive editor has to approve it.
You know what I mean? Like, who's going over the final proofs before they're like, yes, to print with you? Like, you know what I mean? Start the presses. Like, if it's the executive, I've got to say, whoever the final proof editor, executive editor was, they dropped the ball hardcore on this. I mean, you've ruined the artist's art, and there's no comic book reader that isn't going to notice this, like, as being bad. I mean,
I don't know. I thought it was pretty terrible to begin with. I mean, the art's okay, but it was dark and crappy in the first one, the original, so it really didn't change that much between the original floppies to the graphic edition to the digital edition. There's not that much of a difference. It was just, it's lazy. It's lazy work.
Yeah, as we talked about, this is the issue where, or the series where, you know, we're killing everybody, because it was the end of the Ultimate Universe, the Ultimate imprint for Marvel Comics. So we need to bring it all to an end. And the way that Jeff Loeb decided to bring it, who's the writer, decided to bring it all the way to an end was to have people die gory deaths again and again and again.
If you want to talk gory deaths, I have the Wasp pulled up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. By all means. Jim Healy says that wasn't approved by anyone. It was a rubber stamp digital edition. I could see that. You know what I mean? Like, there's an editorial fail, whether it be because there was non-existent editorial oversight or somebody approved something they shouldn't have.
Yeah, but they're supposed to look at it first. That's part of the job. But as we've seen, they don't really do their jobs. So
this is the scene where the blob is eating the wasp.
Nice, huh?
Yeah. I was gonna say, you know, that's the thing. I said to Polly about this. The art in this is not that bad. It's actually really, when I say not that bad, it's by today's standards for Marvel, it's fucking amazing. Okay, the art is really good. It's the subject matter that kind of, I don't think so.
I never liked the Ultimates line. I thought it was it always came off to me as like the wish fulfillment of fanboys, like fan fiction.
How so, though? I mean, usually fan fictions are like glory stories, not like horribly depressing, you know, fucking.
Well, there's some. Have you been on any of those like creepy boards? There's some really stuff out there.
No, the best fan fiction I've ever read was Doom Repercussions of Evil.
I'd like to point out My Immortal being a good example.
Well, I mean, okay, if we talk just about especially Ultimates 3, yeah, like, you know, you see Blob at a previous on previous pages yells at Wasp gonna eat you up, when she's like tiny little wasp, like he's just gonna like pop her in his mouth and eat her. Well, he does actually get the opportunity later, and he, like, you know, God, it's just Jesus Christ, Jeff Loeb, you know. Yeah. At which point Ant-Man turns giant and bites off his head, and it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
I'm not against violence in comics. That's not the point. It just seems so
non-heroic,
just like obvious and intentional. Like somebody sat back and go, okay, what's a horrible way for this person to die on this page, because it's been a whole 2 pages since somebody died horribly. You know what I mean?
Well, that's why I hated Jeff Loeb for a long time. Tried to steal Captain America. Was a crap writer. He was a hack.
He wrote The Long Halloween.
I was gonna say
monkeys and typewriters, dude. They're gonna turn out something decent.
You leave Ranting Monkey out of this. He comes up with a good joke every now and then.
No, I wasn't talking about Ranting Monkey. I'm talking about Shakespeare here. You know, maybe Long Halloween was good, but compared to a lot of his other stuff, that's a low bar. That's all I'm saying.
Well, you know what? Cynical Lindsay has a good point. It's like that looks better than most of the art that I've seen. Like if we're talking like current year Marvel, yeah. But
yeah, last 5 or 10 years, yeah, it's been
but
garbage.
Jim, when he was on, we talked about this like more extensively. It's when you're contracting for lower amounts of money, you're going to end up contracting artists that do not have as developed an art style, to put it nicely. You know, you're going to get some Tumblr art coming through. It just
that's all Marvel produces.
Yeah.
Well, like I would say that on their big titles, they tend like X-Men Gold, even though I took it off my pull list because the stories were just going nowhere, man. I was just like, fuck this.
The X titles.
I mean, yeah, well, I was buying X-Men Gold because Rachel Summers' Phoenix, now Prestige, it was in that title, and I'm always interested to see if some writer is going to go, oh, Rachel Summers is a great character. I can actually do something with her, you know, because since Chris Claremont and Alan Davis, no one's known what the hell to do with that character, and they just keep doing these weird things where she becomes Lady Ascani for a while, and then they just keep reiterating her as part of the pantheon. She's always there in the background, and it's like, no. First of all, Jean Grey should have stayed dead. Number one.
Yes.
And if you want to bring her back, fine, but she ain't Phoenix no more. It's like that's lazy writing where it's what makes Jean Grey interesting. Oh, well, that she's Phoenix. Oh, fuck. Not as of like what? When did she die? 74?
The first time, yeah.
Yeah. Like it's been a long time since she possessed the Phoenix Force. The Phoenix Force belongs to Rachel Summers. Let it go.
No,
you know?
Because that's part of identity politics. That's one of her traits.
So do they acknowledge the fact that Rachel Summers and Cable are siblings?
Okay, that's a great question.
I think
yes,
they changed that.
Yeah, they do, but then they changed it, and like nothing has a more convoluted lore than X-Men. It's by far the most.
Yes.
The lengthiest and the most convoluted and the most interlaced, especially because it deals with multiple worlds in the Marvel universe. You know, Earth 616 isn't even considered Earth Prime anymore. Like, oh God, if you can follow all of it, just trying to, and Rachel Summers herself is a character from an alternate dystopian future that's been yanked back into Earth's past. And so her world doesn't exist anymore. She has nowhere to go home to.
Just like Cable.
Right.
And Bishop.
Oh God, Bishop. Dude, talk about 1001 retcons, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, that poor character. Jesus Christ, he's been redone. I don't even try and follow Bishop. Don't even attempt it. I just know Rachel Summers' stories because I'm interested in the character. I think she's great, and people keep fucking with her.
I think at this point they almost have to like eliminate some of these characters because their backgrounds are so convoluted, and just kind of reboot them.
Okay, well, but this, interestingly enough, segues and brings us all the way back around. See, it's kind of like a circle to Marvel Ultimate. That was the point of the imprint. We're rebooting all of these characters because the lore, the decades worth of lore that's often convoluted and interlaced, is intimidating to new readers. So we're starting anew. And so Ultimate Spider-Man was him going to raves instead of going to sock hops like he did in the 60s. He's back in.
Yeah, but they had already done a reboot after Onslaught with Heroes Return.
Yeah.
Heroes Reborn, then with Return Again. And then
it's happened again after that. That was the editorial mandate of One More Day. It's like J. Michael Straczynski, we're rebooting Spider-Man. He's not going to be married anymore. He's going to be back in high school. Make it happen. And he came up with a storyline to make it work. And no, quiz, we won't be discussing that today.
Well, they did it more recently with Secret Wars.
I would love to hear you defend that horrible, horrible comic, but that's okay.
You know what? We will do a special edition where I'm not looking to defend it. I'm not looking to I guess you would call it a defense. I'm not looking to convince anybody it's great. I'm looking to give people food for thought to possibly persuade them that it is not the flaming trash heap that it's portrayed to be. It's just not. I get the idea. You do not want MJ and Peter's marriage to end. I don't either, in a really big way. Now, given that it's going to happen because the editor-in-chief said it's going to fucking happen, and it's a mandate. On that basis, is it a good story? I argue, hell yeah. As a matter of fact, it's a sad story. It's heart-tugging, man. And
no, because if Spider-Man can dedicate his life to being a superhero because of Uncle Ben's death, then he should be able to accept and downright, learn from and be a better man from Aunt May's death. He needs to move on. People die. It's a sad truth.
What really bothers me, though, is they never resolve if Peter inherited the rice empire that Uncle Ben left behind.
Jesus Christ. I thought there was going to be some point somewhere you were going with that.
Gotcha.
I'm just saying, man, the fact that he wanted to bring Aunt May back and would sacrifice his marriage to do so, that's dumb. That is dumb. Sorry.
Jimmy Lee says, holy shit, I could talk a ton about Jean Grey. We should do that one time, Jim. Especially because Quiz is like our local X-Men guru.
Yeah.
So, and I could definitely interject at points in that discussion. I don't know. How well versed are you in X-Men lore, Jack?
We'll call that stream Jack Takes a Nap. I don't care.
But, and then, Ryan Walters just scored himself a wrench with that. The Phoenix is interesting. Jean Grey isn't. Hell yeah. Add moderator. You've been wrenched, buddy.
Jean Grey was so much more interesting when she was like a love interest character that was being fought over by two men. And they kind of ended that story fairly quickly.
Well, first of all, that's one of my problems with the Ultimates, because they immediately jumped into Wolverine and Jean Grey love each other and bang it out a lot.
No,
it took away the pursuit aspect and the whole concept of the triangle storyline.
Yeah, I say that's the whole thing, is that I don't ever think that Jean Grey had feelings for Logan. It's that Logan had feelings for her, and she was caught going like, "Hey, dude. Look, I like you as a friend, but I love Scott."
Yeah, but in the Ultimates universe, that's not how it played out.
Yeah.
They were immediately in bed together, and it was fanboy fan fiction. That's all it was. Oh, he's so hip and edgy. Oh, fuck you.
I think Dark Admiral March Hare there deserves a wrench. He said it's Quesada's fault. One More Day was a travesty.
Quesada hurt Marvel more than I think anybody else has ever done in the last 20 years.
Yes.
Well, March Hare deserves a wrench either way, because March Hare is awesome. If anybody who happens by the Tug streams, you know that March Hare is a mainstay over there, so that's awesome that she swung by.
And Shady, I wasn't talking shit about Spider-Man. I was talking shit about One More Day.
No, he was talking
One More Day, March Hare. I have to respectfully disagree. It wasn't a travesty. Again, it's
a travesty.
Basically, okay. Okay, you know what? Put yourself for a second in J. Michael Straczynski's shoes. Okay, you had a great run. The Straczynski run on Spider-Man is actually a collected edition that you can get through Amazon. It's a great run right up until he's a fantastic writer. He wrote all of Babylon 5 and created it. This man is not a stupid writer. He knows how to develop characters. He knows how story arcs work, obviously. And so this guy's sitting at his computer doing his job. Then all of a sudden he gets a call from the editor, who's kind of his boss and controls his paycheck, and says, hey, guess what? You need to write a story that within the next 3 issues, Spider-Man needs to be unmarried, back in high school, and hanging out with his friends, worrying about drama on texts and tweets.
Okay, yeah, you know how you do that?
And then hangs up on you.
We're gonna pretend we're divorced. I'm going undercover with 21 Jump Street.
Yeah.
Boom. Problem solved. Less stupid.
Like if I was Straczynski, I would have argued, and he said that he did, and he partially owns it in different interviews. Sometimes says it's not my fault. Sometimes says I take complete responsibility. It depends on the question he was asked. Do you take responsibility for what happened in that story? He says, yes, I do. Do you take responsibility for ending Peter and Mary Jane's marriage and sending him back to high school? He's like, no, I don't. So he's kind of right. I just don't blame him.
Yeah.
I don't take that as a valid criticism of One More Day that their marriage ends. I don't. Quiz, I will take your criticism to be valid that within that, he should have done this, he should have done that. I don't think that the death of Aunt May was enough, but it wasn't just the death of Aunt May, was it? It was that his public identity was revealed. The whole reason Aunt May got shot is because of his public identity being revealed.
That's a whole nother kettle of fish, dude.
No, he's the one who caused it.
It's awful.
He's the one who get me on the Civil War tirade.
Exactly. He's taking responsibility for the stupidity of unmasking himself because he put his whole family at risk, including his wife and Aunt May. Aunt May got shot. He believed the same thing was going to happen to his wife. He could undo all of this just by he could protect Mary Jane simply by leaving her. That's an act of self-sacrifice.
No, his self-sacrifice wasn't enough because it didn't save the X-Men.
Well,
they were Captain America got a bullet to the brain pan at the end of Civil War, and what did the X-Men get? The X-Men lost their entire integrity.
I'm sorry.
So,
it didn't save the X-Men? One More Day sucks because your beloved X-Men weren't rescued?
Wait, hang on. I think I can resolve this argument in a way we can all agree on.
Yeah.
This really harkens back to the fact that Civil War happened, so this is all Mark Miller's fault.
Okay, I agree. Civil War was awful. It was trash. Everything about Civil War is awful.
I like Mark S. Miller. You leave him out of this.
He can lick my taint. The Civil War was I was running my comic shop at the time, and oh my god, that book caused so many headaches for people. It was always late, and it was just the most unfulfilling storyline. You had all these tangential books that were interspersed, which is it set the precedent for what we're seeing now with like Return of Wolverine and all that shit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I say the one
forever.
I think the only series that had tangential books like that I actually enjoyed was Flashpoint, because the Flashpoint Paradox storyline had a whole bunch of really good side story stuff that had absolutely nothing to do with the actual Flashpoint.
Yeah, Canterbury Cricket.
Oh, dude, I loved Green Arrow Industries.
Yeah,
awesome. Like he was weaponizing supervillains technology and turning like mercenaries loose with supervillain technology. It's amazing.
Yeah, no, I blame a lot of this on Mark Miller and Brian Michael Bendis. I don't necessarily blame J. Michael Straczynski. He was compelled to do stuff, but
made him do it. Yeah,
Joe Quesada, Bendis, and Miller are hands down, in my opinion, the people that ruined Marvel, because they set the stage for what we're seeing now, and they instituted all these more political ideology leanings in the books, and much more heavy-handed than they ever were before.
Yeah,
and that's what really led into the decline that we're in now.
Yeah,
that's my opinion.
I hated Civil War with the fury of 1,000 suns. That is the worst possible thing that Marvel could have done. And yeah, that was actually the point when I downright just walked into my comics shop and said, take all of my Marvel books off pull.
Yeah, I quit reading comics shortly after that for a very, very long time, because of all the tie-ins and the nonsense changes that they were making. It was just absurd. It's not how crossovers are done well. It's really kind of tainted everything since then, because after they did the Civil War with all its tie-ins, then you had the Death of Captain America and the Fallen Sun tie-ins and all the miniseries there, and it's just snowballed ever since. Yeah. It's been event.
Yeah, and the events have all been garbage. Like I remember actually really kind of liked the X-Men events back in the 90s. You know, like the Fatal Attractions, Phalanx Covenant. All of those were actually really cool.
And some of those were kind of overly complicated too, but at least they were readable. Yeah. You had to get all the parts, but at least it was like 15 books that you were probably already reading anyway. That's and they were all like, there was some continuity there. You go back to like Inferno, where it was crossing over with like 3 books, and other books were tangentially involved. They were doing their own thing. Like you read the Spider-Man Inferno thing, you didn't need to know what was going on in X-Men. They recapped
he was just fighting demons like, you know, Spider-Man was. It was just
like, oh, that's crazy, man. But it was just like a one-time thing. It wasn't like, here's a 4-part miniseries that you need to read. Oh, by the way, you have to buy the 12-part miniseries that's going on too.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I am sick of these big event things. They're just publicity stunts, and that's all they've been for a decade.
The worst thing to happen recently in terms of overly involved, overlapping events is Spider-Geddon. It's just insulting how bad it is.
Yeah.
Because they really do put pieces of the Spider-Geddon story in the crossover issues, like in, you know, it's over in Ghost Spider, and there's some over here, and then there's some over there, and you really can't know what's going
Spider,
on.
don't call her that. Don't give her any legitimate Spider-Gwen.
You know, if they were using Spider-Geddon to kill off Spider-Punk, Spider-Gwen, and Miles Morales, I'd be all for it.
Put it back down to just Peter Parker. I think
it should be Peter Parker and Jessica Drew should be the only Spider people out there. Maybe Peter Porker, Spectacular Spider-Ham, because he's in another universe. Awesome. Yeah, he's in his own universe. That's cool. Jessica Drew, Spider-Woman, doesn't really have the same power set. She's more spider-oriented in name only. Fine. She does her own thing off with S.H.I.E.L.D. or Hydra or whatever. And Spider-Man, let him be the only Spider character. That worked so much better. He was unique. It gave him character. Now they're just like, oh, everybody should be a spider person.
Well, I was going to say, how awful are the lab safety protocols if those radioactive spiders are getting out and getting all over the city and you know, turning people into superheroes?
Right? Like, you think they would have figured it out by now.
Yeah.
But it's just lazy. It's lazy writing. It's poor creativity on the part of the staff. And you're seeing the same thing with Wolverine, with X-23.
Yep.
Whatever his kid's name is, and Honey Badger.
Please tell me that Honey Badger in the comics is the anti-feminist. Like she was the one that was working against the X-Men trying to solve the wage gap in India.
Oh, I think she was part of that storyline, but that was some other character. But no, Honey Badger is exploring her sexuality as like an 11-year-old.
Right, as they do.
So creepy. I thought that kid was like 7 when I read that issue, and I'm like, what is wrong with you, Tom Taylor?
Why are Marvel trying to ruin the X-Men, and have been for decades now?
Oh, it's just getting worse every year, too, like fighting the wage gap, using dank memes to fight an enemy, like they did a few months ago.
God.
My God.
Let me show you guys something. I pulled up a couple of comics because we were talking about Rachel Summers and Outriders not knowing what to do with her. This is like X-Men Gold. Okay. Here we are in X-Men Gold. This is issue 11. Okay, here we are. This is the writer, tongue-in-cheek, poking fun at how many iterations that writers have dragged the character of Rachel Summers through. This is having a psychic moment. She's on the like astral plane, as they say, when really strong telepaths are asleep, they can communicate with other people by, you know, old story, right, Quiz? There's nothing new here. And this is her communicating with Franklin, i.e. Franklin Richards, as an adult, the son of Reed and Sue Storm. Hello, Rachel. Long time. They knew each other in the dystopian future where Rachel's from. And it's like, why is she communicating with him now? It's sort of like an attempt at a mystery being added. And Rachel's like, Franklin? And he says, it's okay to be confused. This isn't real, like as his hand passes through hers. Rachel has renamed herself in a new costume. Her name now is Prestige, which is an awful name for a superhero. That doesn't even make any sense. And her costume looks stupid compared to the way that it did previously. And he says, this isn't real. So you're calling yourself Prestige these days. Why not? Just another name in a long line, as if a new name and a new costume is some kind of substitute for actual growth. Ouch.
Wow. little Freudian slip there.
Well, it's just like the writer sounds a little angry at what he's being asked to do.
Well, see, that's the thing. I don't know if they're being asked to do this or if they're just bad at writing, because I can't tell anymore. It's like Poe's law, you know.
And that's what I mean.
Yeah.
I like chat and you guys is like, if that is not an attempt on the writer to be tongue-in-cheek about this is stupid, you want me to redesign her costume again and give her a new name, what is like, do you have any mandates or suggestions or whatever for what I'm to do with this character? Because a costume and a name do not a character make. And then he ends up writing this another name in a long line. Yeah, because she's gone through so many. It's you know, as if a name and a costume is a substitute for some kind of actual growth. Yeah, her original costume with the spikes, her mutant hunter costume, was fine, and people laughed about this. And you know, online it kind of became a joke to the point where look what they did. You get here. This is issue 22, so little less than a year later, in like the comics world, like 12 issues later. And you get Kitty and Nightcrawler coming up to the roof, and it's like, I'm a little worried for her. And she's like, hey guys, what do you think of the new look? And it's like, you changed costumes again?
Looks like she bought a Black Widow costume at a Korean market.
Yeah, it's an off-brand.
And the same writer puts the line in the bottom. I don't understand the point of these costumes. And what is going on is that this is a combination between her mutant hunter all red skin tight costume with the spikes along the shoulder and her prestige costume. It's a blending of the two. It's like, oh, you don't like her prestige costume, you like the original mutant hunter one, then okay, let's just combine them now. And then are you going to shut up now? And it's like, no, because you're still not writing the character, you're just putting her in different outfits.
It looks like one of those like tuxedo t-shirts, not gonna lie.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You know what that is though? That's her new gender. See, that's how we do things.
Because well, they put her
respect that.
It's supposed to be like, okay, she had a cape in the original Prestige outfit, so that red showing through across the chest and torso is supposed to be like what is showing through of the red of her costume underneath the cape.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, still you know what? I like this a lot better than the Prestige outfit. It's fine. Yes, it looks a little bit like Spider-Woman's costume. Whatever, fine. Let's just go with this and write the character. She is a sad, broken, shattered memory character who's hanging out with a bunch of people from her perspective that have been killed and dead for a long time. She's hanging around with a bunch of ghosts because where she comes from, they're all dead. And so she's happy as fuck that these people are alive again. It's a strange character. She's really interesting. She's a lot like Wolverine, which is why they got along at the beginning. They don't have a past. They don't have a family. So thus they make the X-Men their family, and they're very protective of them because of that. But they're necessarily a lone character because they have no past. They have no identity. They simply are who they are in the moment. That's interesting. And with good writing, you can do a lot with that instead of just putting her in different costumes and different costumes and different costumes, you know?
And since she's a ginger in the movie version, she'll be a black woman.
Yeah.
And it, you know, the fact that she possesses the Phoenix Force, but doesn't feel worthy of it because it's this cosmic level elemental energy, but kind of goes through this character arc where she believes it's her inherited right to have it because of who her mother is. And then eventually come this idea that, you know what? We're lame writers and we're pretty boring and we don't know what to do with Jean Grey, but Jean Grey's going on in the movies right now and Rachel Summers isn't. So let's take everything that makes Rachel Summers what she is and give all those powers back to Jean Grey and revert Jean Grey back to being a teenager. We're going to reboot her. And that's the essence of the Jean Grey comic that's been running now.
Wait, Rachel Summers is Madeline Pryor's daughter, not...
No, she is. They thought that for a while, but she's not actually.
Okay. They changed that then.
Well, remember Madeline Pryor, like shit got complicated where it's like, does Madeline Pryor possess Jean Grey's consciousness for a while? That was a question.
Yeah, she was like a clone or copy or something because Scott married her. And in that Alpha Flight X-Men crossover, Madeline tells Scott that she's pregnant. and Rachel freaks out and goes running, and that moved the story along.
What I want to know,
the Jean Grey reboot started out good, then they fucked it up completely. I guess if you're a fan of Jean Grey, like in and of herself and so on, yes, it's kind of interesting because she has to rediscover everything that she is and learn how powerful she is as an Omega level mutant. But I have such a hard time accepting it because they take the Phoenix Force from Rachel and just give it back to Jean Grey, and it doesn't feel like a reboot. It feels like let's take advantage of the fact that she's in the X-Men films right now and she has to have the Phoenix Force because of that.
Jean Grey is a resurrected dictator who is a fan of the ethno state. She wants a mutant land and only for mutants.
So I've got a question for you, Jack. How does Famke Janssen and James Marsden make a black person?
Hold on. What?
James sits in a closet and watches well, Famke Janssen de-ages and bangs Carl Weathers.
Okay. All right.
And she just calls him Mr. Sinister while he's railing her. That's how Rachel Summers was conceived.
Okay. Got it.
Is that how it happened?
Yes. And later, I will explain to you what happened to Starfire on the Teen Titans.
Well, Starfire doesn't have a convoluted story at all. She's
she started out orange, now she's black. You tell me that's not convoluted?
Okay, okay. Well, she's never been black in the comics.
You don't know what that. She's just wearing a lot of makeup. She's actually from Pittsburgh.
She got that spray-on tan is really heavy and thick in the comics.
She stole a truckload of Cheetos. There was an accident. She fell into a vat. It went badly. And now she's orange. Got it. So she's like, I'm from space. That's the ticket.
Well, the thing about it is, for me, what really kind of gets me is that, you know, no offense to Rachel Summers here, Polly, but what does she have to do with the Shi'ar Empire and the Encron Crystal?
Okay, she becomes Lady Ascar. I don't want to get into it. I don't want to talk about it.
I'm just saying, because that was the purpose. That was the purpose of the Phoenix Force, was to guard the Encron Crystal. So
right, but
they've evolved the Phoenix so much further since then. And,
yeah, like just so I can talk about like her original mutant hunter costume. There it is. That's what she looks like, and with her rightful possession of the Phoenix Force. God damn it! So it just yeah,
they really need to rehire Jim Shooter, because the editorial staff they're just following their own whims now. Like, oh, you know what would be really cool? We should give the Phoenix Force back to Jean Grey, and that'd be neat. Make that happen.
You know what would be cool? You just made it sound like a bunch of like pothead dorm discussions. Like,
am I wrong?
No, I don't think you're wrong. That's why I'm laughing.
Yeah, I don't think I'm pretty sure that's how it's been run for the last 15 years.
All right, we've actually gone lore crazy, and goddamn, we're coming up on an hour. Holy shit, man, we're nerds.
This is wee shit.
Well,
I think you'll find that we're geeks, actually.
Yeah, actually, nerds have skills. I don't have any of those, so I am a geek. Thank you. Do I look like I'm in tech? No.
You know what? Peter says, I don't like that chick. They should have cast someone else as Jean Grey, in my opinion. I agree. There's a lot. People like Famke Janssen. I get it. You know, not everyone likes the same woman. Remember, that's a positive thing, or there'd be 7 billion people chasing after the same woman. It's good that we have different tastes. But I agree, Peter. I agree.
Peter, I want to have sex with Famke Janssen, but everybody in that movie was too old to be the X-Men anyway.
Yeah.
Except for Wolverine. If anything, he was too young.
Well, he was just too tall.
Yeah, way too tall and not hairy enough. It's true.
Yeah, they should have got Glenn Danzig to play Wolverine. And
Yes! Oh my god, yes!
Like, seriously, Wolverine's supposed to be like Danny DeVito height.
Yeah,
He's-
yeah, Glenn Danzig. He's
Yeah.
like 5'5".
You know, but all things considered, like if you look at like the casting generally across X-Men, that wasn't bad casting. He ends up like with the hair and everything and the grimy attitude taking on the role pretty well compared to some of the other actors they picked.
Hugh Jackman's a good actor.
Yeah,
I think-
true. That's why he was able to bring his A game.
I think for the most part, at least the first two movies, the cast wasn't bad.
No, they were just all too old. I mean, this
Yeah.
is not an episode of 90210 where everybody's in their mid-30s playing the 15-year-olds.
Yeah.
You have to have people look the part, and they were all way too old to be hanging out at a school. Seriously, if I saw half those people lurking around a school, I'd call the cops.
Yeah.
Like, there's some creepy dude hanging out here going, "Hey kids, I'm your new teacher."
You know what? You know what I think people overlook is Scott Summers as Cyclops. People look at him as like, if you don't read the comics, you can look at him as like a very like a kind of a boring character. And they picked like maybe that guy's a good actor, but he played him so flat. Like they just kind of play him as an annoying guy who has this friction with Wolverine because they're both hot for Jean Grey kind of thing. And it's like no, you need somebody with an actor with a hell of a lot of charisma, because that's who Scott Summers is. Everybody naturally defaults to him as the leader in the comics because he is this like sort of huge personality type. You know what I mean? Like he's the alpha male guy where when he talks, everyone's just like, oh, okay, that's what Scott wants. All right. You know what I mean? Like, so you don't have somebody that just has that huge amount of charisma. You've totally failed in your casting of the character.
Well, dude, I mean, you're filming 14-hour days and you got to go take it easy because you got bone spurs because you're like 45. You're tired. You didn't get your nap or your Metamucil. So, yeah.
Jesus, they were that old. God damn.
They all looked really old. Like,
I got to rub my joints with some Ben Gay and sit in my rocking chair for a while.
Yeah.
So we have a number of stories here that we were supposed to start covering more or less right from the beginning of the show. And then we started getting nerdy. And, well, we all know how that works out. What do we want to talk about? Do we want to talk about Donald Trump thinking Batman is real? Do we want to talk about the recasting of the voice actor for Star Wars Resistance? Do we want to talk about nightmarish things going on at Vertigo? The coolness of a possible return of Agent Carter? Or NASA wasting their time with not performing actual space exploration and commenting upon the trailer for Avengers Endgame? Or do we want to talk about the trailer for Avengers Endgame? See, these are all the stories we just got waiting in the wings, man.
Well, we have to at the very least cover the DC Vertigo thing, that debacle, because you named you named the stream that. So
well, but we could get to that at any time. We're not in any kind of rush.
Well, let's first of all let me say that NASA has a lot of free time on their hands because they don't do anything anymore.
Well,
all right. Yeah. Well, let me see what their shuttle program looks like. Oh wait.
Okay, I got a good way to get into this, because Quiz, just before the stream started, saw the Avengers Endgame trailer for the first time.
Yeah,
Jack and I had already seen it. I would like to hear from Chad. Of those of you who've seen it, are you excited by what you saw in the trailer, or you don't know what to think from what you saw in the trailer? Press 1 for you're excited. Press 2 for you don't know what to think or it sucked. I'm curious. Quiz, you just saw it. What did you think? Really? You're a 2 on this one, huh?
Yeah. My whole thing about this is, number one, they're forcing characters into relevance that I could not have given a shit about. I've never seen Ant-Man the Wasp.
Okay.
I could give a shit if Paul Rudd is in the movie or not. The fact that he shows up and, is talking to Captain America like they're supposed to know who he is, I'm left going,
they do know who he is. He was in Captain America 3.
I don't care about this. There's the cool thing was that they were giving Captain America a lot of screen time. I think Chris Evans could do with more Captain America screen time. I really, really liked. The and this is going to sound horrible, but I've only seen the first Avenger. I haven't even seen the second Captain America movie.
The second one's better.
The fact that you just called it the first Avenger, yeah, that's
yeah. I've not seen the second one. I want to, but every copy that I've managed to get my hands on has been awful. Or when I've had my hands on the DVD, I never have any time to watch it, and I have to give it back.
Well, it's funny because everyone just calls it the first Captain America. Everyone forgets that it's called Captain America: The First Avengers. I can tell you've actually seen it because you know the title.
Yeah. Oh no, I love that movie. It's a great movie. Yeah. I put it in terms of the MCU movies that I've actually seen. I would put it number 2. My number 1 is probably Thor. 3 is Iron Man. 4 is the first Avengers.
I've said it here before and in other places. My very favorite MCU film is Captain America: The First Avenger, because they managed to take this comic character that within the comics he's presented as Steve Rogers, and he's the ultra patriot. He's a man who's good at heart, but he's a badass. He doesn't want to kill anybody. All the things you see in the movie, and I'm like, you can't do that on screen. It's just not going to work. Like that was my thinking. That's what everybody said. And their complaints, I remember them clearly before that film came out. We're talking about it that this is corny. Nobody wants to hear about the Stars and Stripes anymore. I mean, doesn't America suck after all? Because it's a bunch of journalists writing this stuff, right?
Because it's about a cishet white blonde male.
I mean, like, oh my God, right?
He is the embodiment of colonialist patriarchy.
And I think, and I do honestly, it's just my opinion, but I believe that was what it was at the root of a lot of it. Like Captain America, what are you kidding me? This isn't World War II. Enough of your, like, America sucks. Don't you know that? Ugh. I think there was a lot of that at the root of it, and but that's why I like the film so much, because holy shit, you were able to correctly portray the core character traits of Steve Rogers on film. That's why I loved it so much. It was like, yeah, you got it. You did it right. And Chris Evans brought his A game. All of a sudden, the smarmy frat boy that he was in Fantastic Four was gone. And all of a sudden, he's this stern, convicted, but a childlike worldview. And I don't mean that as an insult. I mean, he's kind of got like a pure, unfettered worldview. You know what I mean? There's right and there's wrong, and you have to make that call. You know what I mean? And Chris Evans brought that, and it worked. I loved it. I was a big fan. Captain America, Winter Soldier, quiz, highly recommended, man. Yeah, that's too bad you haven't been able to get a good copy of it, because it's that character again. Just he's total fish out of water. He's in the modern era, doesn't know what to do with himself, but he's the same guy. It's great.
I've heard it's a really good spy movie.
Yes,
it's okay. So where a lot of the things that you would want to have seen as an extended version of First Avenger were in that movie. So, like, it's the natural progression, because the first movie is always the origin story.
Yeah.
The second movie, it really picks up. It's really the Dark Knight of the Captain America trilogy, because it really is the, like, Empire Strikes Back best movie of that, as far as cinematography goes and all around movie aspect. It is probably the best done of the three, but I like the first one the best. Yeah. But I would say if you're going to watch any of the other MCU movies, make it Winter Soldier.
And lest we forget Robert Redford. It has Robert Redford.
I don't care. He's got a big head. I don't care about that.
He does have a big head, but you can see the ease with which he acts. Like, it's just he's so who he is in the moment.
Don't ruin it. No spoilers for Chris.
No, not spoilers. I'm just commenting on the guy's acting ability. You know, he's like Gene Hackman. It's like
commenting on the size of his giant noggin.
Well, okay,
very distracting, like a Kennedy.
Okay. Like Ted Kennedy, like Leonardo DiCaprio. You talked about last time. Robert
intelligence.
Jack, you got problem big heads. Established. Now, he's a great actor.
The problem I've got with delving into these, like, I have no problem going after the movies that interested me, like Winter Soldier did interest me, but I just hadn't been able to catch it in the theaters, and haven't been able to see any of the new stuff. But there are some of movies of the MCU that have absolutely no interest for me that I could not care less about seeing ever. Ant-Man is one. And I'm I'm kind of sick of for this too, is people bringing up the fact that these movies can do no wrong. They can do plenty wrong.
Yeah.
The second Avengers movie was a massive fucking letdown. I was really looking forward to that. I loved the first Avengers movie. I went to see Avengers 2 and I was bored. How do you okay, before there was any other crossover, before there was Spider-Man in Civil War, which I don't understand the appeal of, there was fucking Quicksilver and the Scarlet Witch in Avengers 2. Why was that such a terrible movie?
Well, it wasn't because of James Spader or Elizabeth Olsen.
I didn't like.
He's awesome.
Yeah, James Spader did the best he could, being only a voice.
Yeah,
I James Spader gives me nightmares. He's a creepy dude. Like,
that's why he's a great villain.
I guess. I don't know, man. It's like you got Zelthor saying I don't like spookum movies, and it's like, okay, anything that James Spader is in automatically becomes a spookum movie to me. Just that guy.
I don't want the dude reading me bedtime stories, but in a darkened room, he's like, "All right, it's time to read a story about Hansel and Gretel." I'd be like, "I'm gonna pee myself. I'm scared. How did you get in my house?" He's like, "Oh, James Spader, bitch." And somehow you can't leave. He just reads you a story. I agree, but it was a pretty disappointing movie. I'll agree. There were several weak movies. Both the Ant-Man ones are general audience normie films. They weren't more diehard comic nerd stuff like a lot of the other movies were. Guardians of the Galaxy 2, in my opinion, is one of the weakest movies they've put out yet so far. And Avengers 2, like you said, and Iron Man 3, I absolutely hated that movie.
Iron Man 3 is better than Iron Man 2.
I disagree, because that had Mickey Rourke in it, and he was better than Iron Man 3. Because he's Mickey Rourke. He doesn't know he's an actor. He just thinks he shows up at places and there just happen to be cameras there. He's like, everybody gets my name wrong. And then he mumbles a lot, and they just fill in some dialogue later with a guy that sounds kind of like him.
Oh, dude, this article sucks. Okay, look, let's talk about what's wrong with social media, okay? Like in the good sense, not the sense of like that Renfamous is on it, therefore it's bad. Look, I just was looking over this article. It's from Bounding Into Comics. NASA responds after fans ask them to save Tony Stark following Avengers Endgame trailer. For those of you who don't know, there's no spoilers in this. Tony Stark, if you haven't seen the trailer, is in it, and he's talking about, we run out of food soon, we run out of water soon, we run out of oxygen even faster than that kind of thing. And he's like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And he's leaving a message for Pepper Potts, and it's saying these things, and he's in a spacecraft by himself. So there. And that's what they're talking about. Like, NASA saved Tony Stark. And it's like, following the release of Marvel Studios' Avengers Endgame trailer, numerous fans began petitioning NASA to save Tony Stark. And now NASA has responded. NASA's official Twitter didn't say they would get directly involved in, this is wank fest. You see what I'm saying about it already. Mm-hmm. But they did provide some advice to the Avengers still on Earth about how they might be able to save him. And let's skip through the whole writing of it. This is what it all comes down to, y'all. NASA's tweet is, "Hey, at Marvel, we heard about Tony Stark. As we know, the first thing you should do is listen in mission control for, quote, Avengers. We have a problem." I get it. Like the Apollo astronauts, Houston, we have a problem. That's funny. But if he can't communicate, then we recommend ground teams use all their resources to scan the skies for your missing man. Scan the skies?
Yeah, because he's going to burn up on re-entry.
But it's like,
somebody should have responded, like the Challenger?
Yeah, Jim Healy says this is a non-fucking story. Exactly. Marvel Studio responds, appreciate any help you can provide. This is just, when I say this is what's wrong with social media, this is not spicy like the Wendy's Twitter account being savage and shit. This is just NASA going, we're a blue check mark, Marvel, notice us.
No,
you
this
know,
is sad boomer humor. Like
thank
this is
you.
the
Good way
joke.
to describe.
Even my dad would groan at this, and he's really old. So
And Marvel, being another blue check mark, is like, appreciate it, NASA. We're on social media too. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like Bounding into Comics is a great website. Highly recommend it. But guys, I realized you kind of had to cover this, but it comes across like you had to cover it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
because it's so sad and pathetic. First of all, what special needs kid is calling NASA to be like, save Tony? Oh my god, he's like so real.
Okay, let's talk about the part of it that I actually, like I said, I'm a big fan of First Avenger, and that's where they introduced the character of Peggy Carter, Agent Carter, and me and Jack and I were talking before the stream started that we both really like the Marvel series Agent Carter. It's kind of corny, but I love Haley Atwell in that role so much, and I like her character because she's spunky, she's competent, she's sexy, and she's got an English accent. So win, across the board.
Haley Atwell and Bridget Regan made that show because
True.
they're both great actresses and they're very good character actresses. So any chance to see them on screen again, I'm all for. Especially if they're bringing back Peggy Carter in any respect.
And you do notice this moment where Steve Rogers has a old-timey, World War II style compass, and on the inside of the lid, as you can see here, is the picture of Agent Carter, of Peggy Carter, and it's a throwback to Captain America: The First Avenger, because you see him using his compass in this, and he's kind of looking at it in the spacecraft in the trailer. So I haven't actually read this article yet. Let's see what it says.
It's like, Black Widow, get out. I need some alone time.
This better not be another non-story where all they're talking about. There better be some leaks involved here, folks.
There's not.
I know. I'm doing it because I really like Peggy Carter's character, and I'm just hoping. Haley Atwell's Peggy Carter looks to play a significant role in Avengers Endgame because there's a picture of her. Okay, let's find out. Haley Atwell's Peggy Carter, blah, blah, blah. While discussing a plan with Black Widow, Captain America brings out his compass and looks at the image of Peggy Carter that's been in the compass since the 1940s. It's unclear why Captain America is all of a sudden looking at the old picture of Peggy Carter as he seemingly moved on from her death. Yeah, he was literally at her deathbed, which I think is a mistake. In fact, he even began a romance with Peggy Carter's niece, Sharon. Yeah, he did, which is... I don't know how to feel about that whole storyline. But anyway.
How do you think Sharon feels? Like, wait, are you just dating me because my great aunt?
Right? It's kind of like, am I the younger version of the woman you were in love with and you're trying to get back in time? This is kind of weird.
It's so hot when he says the wrong name.
Oh, nice, Jack. Nice. It's okay. But Captain America's compass with Peggy Carter's photo might be the biggest clue the trailer gives us that time travel could somehow be involved. We know Captain America and Black Widow are discussing a plan, and it appears to be their only option, as Captain America tells Black Widow, quote, "I know it is, because I don't know what we're going to do if it doesn't." The plan most likely involves Ant-Man as he shows up towards the end of the trailer. We know Ant-Man has been to the quantum realm.
Spoiler alerts!
Right? And it's quite possible that the quantum realms hold the key to time travel.
They explained it in the movie.
If Black Widow, played by Scarlett Johansson, and Captain America are using Ant-Man's knowledge of the quantum realms, which could be the key to time travel, it's possible Captain America and Black Widow are traveling back in time to meet with Peggy Carter and recover the Space Stone before it can fall into the hands of Thanos. With Captain America and Black Widow's knowledge of the Space Stone, it's possible they can assemble the Infinity Gauntlet before Thanos and defeat him in a preemptive strike. Hey, what do you guys think of that?
Sounds like a lot of work.
Well, if you're going to defeat somebody with omnipotent powers, you're going to have to put in some work.
I don't know. I, for one, welcome our new Titan Overlord.
Jesus. No, you don't. What happens if you're one of the half?
Well, I'd be dead. What's it matter then? What am I going to do? Come back as a spooky ghost?
Well, you're going to have a horrible go. I mean, look at Peter. He didn't have a good time on his way out.
His Roomba will activate and turn on the burner on the stove and burn itself alive.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Healy says, now all I can think of is ScarJo giving me a hand job. Just tell her that you're a major Hollywood producer. It seems that's all it takes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a horrifying thought. She looks like she has hands like a longshoreman.
Like, actually, or are you just cracking a topical joke?
Little from column A, little from column B.
It's like, I've never stopped to think, does Scarlett Johansson have man hands?
They look kind of callousy. That's all I'm saying. I don't
and we'll
find
finish this off. So. Ant-Man might not be the key to time travel, though. We know Peggy Carter was heavily involved at everything at S.H.I.E.L.D. She knew about Hank Pym and his shrinking technology. It's possible she knew about the quantum realm and had other people working on potential time travel technology. She might be the key that allows the Avengers to avenge their fallen friends and bring justice to Thanos. However, it's also possible Captain America is just reminiscing about Peggy Carter as he faces a tough challenge head on. I know, right? Like, in other words, this whole article could just be completely full of random, pointless speculation.
It's just
kind
bullshit,
of like what we do on our streams all the time.
Shut up!
Don't ruin the secrets!
And no, she does not have man hands. At least
that's right. So, Jack, Jim has said, her hands are fine, you fuck stick. There.
Okay.
Jack the fuck stick. That doesn't roll off the tongue, but I like the
Jack. This is a response to you.
Yeah, well, she's weird looking, so I don't care.
I'm not gonna lie. Like, most of what got me wanting to cover this article is the potential hope that Peggy Carter, like that Haley Atwell was going to be in Avengers Endgame and actually play like a significant role, not just have some kind of cameo. That would be awesome as fuck. Like, because it would involve time travel, and to see, you know, Haley Atwell playing Peggy Carter in her prime again. Hells to the yeah. So
you just want to see Chris Evans as Captain America back in the 40s again.
Well, look, let's look at it this way. I've made no mistake. No, I haven't hidden it. I really love Chris Evans as Captain America. I think he plays a great Steve Rogers. This is probably his last run as Steve Rogers. So yeah, I want to see him do big things because he didn't have a very big role in Avengers Infinity War at all.
Yeah.
He had a role and he had a moment to play, and his introduction, like in silhouette, was fucking awesome. You get to hear that awesome Captain America theme by Alan Silvestri yet again. It was wicked. But that was my lone complaint about Avengers Infinity War. One of the few nitpicky things that I had to say. Too much Ruffalo, not enough Steve Rogers.
There's always too much Ruffalo.
But
any amount of Ruffalo is too much Ruffalo.
And Chaos Eve asks, isn't Haley Atwell hot as hell? Yes. The answer to that question is yes.
Yeah, for a non-Asian, she is a very good-looking woman.
We don't need to hear about your proclivities, Jack.
I'm just saying.
I don't really have anything more to talk about this story. I'm just leaving Haley Atwell up on the screen there. You know, just for a moment. We're just going to leave her there. Talk amongst yourselves.
You need some alone time.
Holly will be in his bunk.
All right. Yeah. Can we? And March Hare demonstrates the brilliance of the comments yet again. Any Ruffalo is too much. Can we all just take the moment in this Advent season to celebrate the gift of no more Ruffalo?
Yeah. You're still fired, Mark.
Like
Ruffalo's a monster.
Maybe that'll be some of the reboot. He was a fake Bruce Banner all along, just pretending to be the Hulk. Something, I don't know. Like
so when they fix everything, he's just literally Ed Norton's back.
Yeah, I was gonna say
no one says anything.
They fix everything, and he's Edward Norton. That's like, yes.
And he's like, "We did it, guys!" And they're like, "Good job, Bruce! High five!"
I would be the most annoying guy in the theater you had ever seen if that occurred, because I would stand up and fuck yeah, fuck. Like I wouldn't care there were kids in the theater sitting right beside me. I wouldn't give a damn.
Yep.
I would... Oh my god, we're horrible nerds. Okay,
at least Dark Admiral March Hare agrees with us.
This is Kyle said, did Ruffalo, so Ruffalo actually got fired? Yes, we've done several streams about it. Essentially what he did is he was on one of the late night talk shows got a little too excited, revealed what was it, the title of the new movie?
Yeah.
And then tweeted at the talk show host saying, "Hey, that was my bad. Can you not put that to air?" And they're all like, "It's already gone out." And no. And then was it the producer? It was either the producer or the director.
No, the directors, the Russo brothers. Yeah.
The directors tweeted at him and said, "Mark, you're fired."
And because, okay, as we talked about before, and for those that are kind of like new to the discussion and don't know, we titled 2 streams in a row about Ruffalo being fired because none of the 3 of us like Ruffalo even a little bit. Number 1 is Bruce Banner. Number 2, IRL. Like he's an asshole on Twitter. Like that guy's SJW to the fullest. So he's obnoxious like in real life, and he's obnoxious in the role. And I completely agree with Jack. He ruined Thor Ragnarok by how much he's in it. More Hulk, less Ruffalo is always a win.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, a potted plant would have been better if they were just walking around like calling the potted plant Bruce. And eventually the Hulk would show up. Maybe the plant actually turns into Hulk. I don't know. But they'd be like, "Hey, Bruce, come on, we got to go." And they just pull this little dolly with a potted plant on it. It would have been a better movie.
Look at this fucking picture. Hold on. Jimmy was just tweeting me a picture. Tweeted at us a picture of there we go. Danny DeVito as Wolverine.
I'd watch that. Especially if he was acting like he does in Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
That's fucking great.
Like going down to the sewer naked with the Charlie. Charlie could play Cable or something. I don't know.
I've been told that there's what? Oh, that's disappointing.
Well, you know,
Chaos Eve just said there's a picture you can show of Haley Atwell. I thought there would be like some sexy bikini picture of Haley Atwell in my DMs or something. Ah, what a letdown.
Hey,
anyway.
Duck.
Well, I don't know. Jim Healis said there's no industry stories about him being fired. So just going off a tweet that was probably just marketing. Comicbook.com is also doing that. So
yeah, a couple of the comic book outlets have covered it, but
yeah,
I don't know. It maybe it is for publicity, but don't take our joy away. Oh my God, you run around telling kids that Santa's not real? Don't ruin this.
Let's hold on. I feel that we kind of left that untalked because goddamn, we're scatterbrained in our organization. Tug's not here, so it's hard to be organized. We were talking about Ruffalo. Why do we bring him up again? I feel that we're leaving something.
Oh, he's dumb.
Ruffalo could be wiped out. And then we brought up that he got fired, but there was some reason that we...
Well, the progression was that we, at the end of the Avengers, that they fix everything. They come back and Mark Ruffalo is replaced by Edward Norton. And then, who was it? This is Kyle asked if Ruffalo actually got fired. That's how we got on it.
Maybe we didn't. Pop-Tart's here. Hey, Lucky. No, yeah, fuck it. Okay, so what we have here is a story from the Mary Sue, so we know comedy shall ensue. Star Wars Resistance thankfully recasts Leia after original actress mocked Christine Blasey Ford. Well, this is going to be a win, right? You can just tell. Okay. With only days to go before the premiere of Star Wars Resistance, a great cry came up from the Star Wars fandom. I have a hard time believing that. If it's about the... Okay, hold on. Let's just go ahead with it. Actress Rachel Butera, who is set to voice General Leia Organa, posted a video, which was deleted, but you can watch in this post, mocking Dr. Christine Blasey Ford's voice on the day she testified against Brett Kavanaugh. The fandom was in an uproar, calling for Butera to apologize and for Leia to be recast. I have a really hard time believing in this uproar. Like there's the fandom that we know of, and then there's the fandom that they're speaking of. Like the fandom that we're speaking of didn't go see Soilo. The fandom that they're speaking of went and saw it and cheered on that there was an LGBTQ robot. You see the difference in fandom we're talking about here? Okay. It seems, though, quietly and without any fanfare, Lucasfilm listened. Jesus, I don't believe any of this. I don't believe any of this. When Leia made her first speaking appearance in Resistance this past weekend, she was voiced by Carolyn Hennessy rather than Butera. So far, there has been no official statement from Butera or Lucasfilm as to the recasting change, but it is easy to imagine in their tiny little brains that it came about because of Butera's terrible jokes on social media. Leia previously appeared on the first episode, but without any speaking lines. Given that she had lines in the trailer, this pointed to her being cut or recast. The role of Leia means so much to so many people that it makes sense in their tiny little brains that they would recast her. Leia and Carrie Fisher stood for something more than just a princess or a general. She represented standing up. Okay, now you're just off into your own shit here. She represented standing up for what is right, courage in the face of overwhelming odds, and a general fighting spirit. It would have been a disgrace to Leia and Carrie's legacies to have an actress who mocked Dr. Blasey Ford, an actual real-life hero, to continue to voice the role. I wanted comedy. This isn't comedy. It's stoking the fire of my ire.
Well, I've the entire time you've been talking about Star Wars, which I couldn't give a shit about. I've been trying to fact check Jim here. I have something though that might have precedent for the firing being legit. Mark Ruffalo spoiled the whole ending of Infinity War before it came out.
Yeah, because he's an idiot.
Yeah, in the same sort of situation, he said, they said, is there anything you can tell us about the movie? He said, everyone dies. Well, half. So I think that it might be just that the shit hit the fan and they said, you know what, we're sick of you. I don't know. I'm just saying it adds legitimacy to it.
There's I think I know how they're going to work in some of the other characters when they undo whatever the snap was. They're going to, I think, have a kicker at the end where they show the X-Men or the Fantastic Four or somebody else.
They better not.
I think they're going to work it in at the end because they got the rights for a lot of characters back. And there's an article right now on CBR. The Avenger 4 directors are certain the X-Men and Deadpool will join the MCU. So I think they're going to do a little surprise thing at the end where those guys come in.
No.
Jesus. So to run this article off to its sad end, the most interesting element of this, I have a hard time believing that this is going to be interesting. Okay. Is that Lucasfilm did this with no fanfare whatsoever. There was no public announcement. They simply went ahead with their decision, despite the fact that it definitely hampered their original plans for airing the show with Leia in the pilot. I am impressed. A non-op-ed article where you're using a self-referential. Jesus Christ, Mary Sue. I am impressed,
but it's the Mary Sue.
This is just like their writing is garbage tier. Their reporting is garbage. Anyway, I am impressed that Lucasfilm made such a major decision, and it is not reaping in the glory. And it is not reaping in the glory.
I think she meant raking in the glory or something like that.
I don't know. Yeah, but simply doing it because it is the right thing to do. Why is everybody quoting the speech of the Apple executive? I can't anyway. For those of you who were feeling hesitant about Resistance, given Butera's casting, rest easy and give the show a chance. I know I was outraged. I had no qualms about never watching that show because of the jokes about Blasey Ford. My God. I mean,
I read this article and it just said Orange Man bad a whole bunch of times. I don't really know.
Now that Hennessy has stepped in, the first season is currently on hiatus and will return in the spring at a to-be-announced date, with Leia hopefully playing a bigger role. I mean, real-life hero Blasey Ford. I mean, what you know what? We're going to step away from comic books here. I'm going to anyway, at least in this one comment. This guy up against Kavanaugh. Kavanaugh, why? Because Kavanaugh was going to bring an end to Roe v. Wade in a fucking instant, right? Did you see how he voted along with the other more liberal-leaning judges on the Supreme Court to not hear the case of Planned Parenthood? Somebody he was going to wreck somehow with a single hand. Are you reporting on that part of it, Mary Sue?
Are any of these ties back into Thanos, man? He was going to get the Infinity Gauntlet and wipe him out.
This is Kyle's like
be aborted immediately.
Is anyone else tired of these fanatics? Yeah, well, okay, I was tired a long time ago. I still find comedy in it that they keep like, this is beating a dead horse. This is making hay out of nothing. This is just like, you're talking on behalf of an entire fandom that represent you and your 5 friends in the Mary Sue basement, because I find it hard to believe you have actual offices.
You're talking about these are 5 fat chicks alone in an abandoned house with a bunch of cats.
And it's like, for those of you who are feeling hesitant about Resistance, given Butera's casting, like, she cracked some jokes about the way Blasey Ford sounded, and this is enough for you to not want to watch the show, and now you can relax because they replaced her. This is how many people are you speaking on behalf of here? Seriously.
Oh, you don't understand the violence of somebody criticizing you. I mean, that's an attack on your lived experience and your very existence.
Oh, right. Jim reminded me, the PETA thing. Yes, this is nothing but feeding a fed horse. Come on, guys. I mean, you can do better than this. Well, no, they can't. Keep it up, Mary Sue. It always adds more content.
They're so dumb.
Just as an aside, PETA can get fucked.
Yeah, well.
They kill more animals than most shelters do, so.
This is... Yep. An ex-girlfriend of mine used to use the phrase pre-offended. It was like,
that's good.
Yeah, I've walked into the room offended. Now I have to find a reason for my offense. What's it going to be?
Telling you, dude, Witchfinder General.
Yeah.
There's a witch in that room. I'm going to go find it.
Okay, I got to step away. And
no one's taking my job. That's my job.
Inquisitor, your job currently is that you're in charge. I got to step away for a quick second. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Okay, don't get my channel taken down.
Well, I make no promises. So, you know, when it comes to the whole Marvel, you know, universe thing and all of this hubbub over Mark Ruffalo being fired, do you think it's plausible that it's just a stunt?
It's always possible, dude. I don't try and figure out celebrities are weirdos.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I've made no what's a good word? I've made no secret about my contempt for a lot of these people speaking out.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It could be. It could not be. Like I said before, when I was looking up that stuff, Ruffalo does seem to have a history of spoiling shit.
Yeah.
And it could have just, you know, finally hit the breaking point, and they said, you know what, fuck you, dude. No, we don't want you in our movies anymore. The major thing that I think makes it not seem that way, like it's like he could very well, you know, not be fired, is the fact that it wasn't Disney that said it. It was the directors.
Yeah, but those are 2 big directors for Disney. So they actually could have enough pull to do that. Plus, they're already going to get rid of a bunch of people that are in the MCU. Hemsworth's leaving. Evans is leaving. What's his name? Downey Jr. might be leaving. If they got rid of Ruffalo too, I don't think it'd be that big of a deal. They've already switched the Hulk once. I don't think it'd be that big of a deal to do it again.
Well, you know, I think it's kind of strange that people would sit there and think that these sorts of movies are only good if they've got that certain actor in them anyway.
Yeah.
I think so long as the actor is getting good direction, anyone can play these characters, really.
Yeah, you get a moderately talented actor, they'll do fine.
Yeah, because like the major problem that people have with comic book movies is when the characters are acting outside of their characterization from the source material, right?
Yeah,
like that's always the number one gripe. So you know, when Bruce Banner went from Edward Norton to Mark Ruffalo, or when War Machine went from, I can't remember the name of the original actor, but yeah, Terrence Howard to Don Cheadle. No one seemed to bat an eyelash. So, yeah. I mean, that's I think that's just the reality of the situation. If it comes down to the fact that, you know, this sort of thing actually does have the repercussions that I'm sure Mark Ruffalo doesn't want it to have, then it's no skin off their nose if they're going to be recasting him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, because their next wave of movies are going to be a bunch of like sequels and stuff like that. They don't need the Hulk for. So in 2 or 3 years, when they start development on a new Avengers project, they may not even have the Hulk in it. So yeah, I don't think it's a big deal to replace him if they wanted to fire him. So that's why I find it believable that he could be exiting. A lot of other people already are. They're going to recast these guys, bring them back in 5 years. Not going to be a big deal. Yeah. People will be all excited to see the new cast, try it out.
Well, you know, this Kyle said is because they all look the same. What do you mean, the Don Cheadle thing, or no, yeah, the Don Cheadle thing. That's one way for
you're talking about Don Cheadle, and I heard they all look the same.
I was saying that's
are you talking about black people? Have you been chanting the 14 words while I've been away?
I was gonna say that's one way I could get Polydub's channel taken down.
Son of a bitch, man! What the fuck is going on here?
Polly, you don't understand. Quiz found a copy of Ethan Van Sciver's book My Struggle, and he was translating it from the German.
Yeah.
Oh
that's fine. God. No, I was translating it from the oh god, what's this?
And we had 29 viewers. Now we got 21. What did you do? Oh my god.
All it's coming to mind is Thanagar, but that's not. God, I know it begins with a K. Fuck.
No one knows what you're talking about.
Hang on. Korrigarian. I was translating from the original Korrigarian. Thank you.
I had to go look up my joke.
No, well, I don't know why I was fucking drawing a blank on Sinestro's home planet.
Yeah, Purple Land.
Well, it's to be fair, it sounds very similar to Hawkman and Hawkgirls, which is Thanagar. You know, Korrigar and Thanagar. God damn it, DC! Stop making your shits rhyme.
No, okay. They're going to do it in verse.
Yeah. An iambic pentameter.
Yeah.
With hopes for a little bit less insanity, but probably not going to happen. Let's, from the Mary Sue, again.
Oh, God.
Does Donald Trump think Batman is real? A very serious examination.
No, very serious.
This should be good. Yeah, I'm sure it's extremely serious. So
serious.
Yeah, I'm just going to go out on a limb here, guys. I think there's going to be a lot of Orange Man bad, Orange Man stupid in here. But let's find out. Is it surprising that Donald Trump would be close enough to think that Christian Bale, already a famous actor when they met, was really Bruce Wayne? When The Dark Knight Rises was filming in Trump Tower, the now president invited Bale up to his office to meet him. As Bale recounts it, Trump talked to him as if he were actually Bruce Wayne, the fictional head of Wayne Enterprises. You know, Batman. Quote, I think he thought I was Bruce Wayne because I was dressed as Bruce Wayne. You mean in a suit? So he talked to me like I was Bruce Wayne, and I just went along with it. Really, it was quite entertaining. I had no idea at the time that he would think about running for president. Well, funny. I want to stop and unpack that. Oh, Jesus.
Oh, God. What is with feminists and fucking unpacking things?
You know, that's an academic term that has actual validity. And we were talking about this on the Monkey Stream this morning. Like, it's words get ruined by these people.
What
now
they
somebody
need to
says
do
unpacked, and it's like we're going to start pointing out non-problems, you know?
No, what they need to do is stop unpacking things and start packing things so they can fucking leave. Get out, Mary Sue.
Ryan Walters asks, does Alexandria Santa Rita Maria Cortez really think that she's Jewish? What she really thinks, I don't know. Only she and God know that. But she did say in front of a gathering of the Jews for Social Justice and Social Change, I believe was the name of the group, words to that effect. It was an entirely Jewish audience, or largely Jewish audience of this organization. And she did say, looking into my past and my family tree, because we're really interested in that, yes, found out that we have Sephardic Jewish heritage, and then made this weird story claim about the people from Spain when the Jews were expelled in 14, blah, 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 blah. She's like, she got into the whole thing, well, my family's Catholic. I'm like, from Puerto Rico, really? You know, it just, that woman. So I mean, we're off comics now, but it was asked. But yeah, did she claim Jewish heritage and Jewish identity? Yes. Yeah, absolutely she did. And it was a political move. It was identifying with her base, where it's like, I'm not only Hispanic with her 80+% Hispanic constituency, where that's a very strong Catholic constituency. It's like, and for the Jews here, I'm also Jewish. And it's like, yeah, and what else are you, Ocasio-Cortez? What's the next advantageous oppression point group that you're going to identify with, you know?
Chicks that have slept with Jack.
You're gonna get an intervention one day on that, man. You gotta be more careful. So back to Donald Trump and unpacking it according to, who is this? This is Rachel Leisman? Yeah, Rachel Leishman. Well, funny, I want to unpack this because there are a couple of things here that either mean Bale is exaggerating for our comedic benefit, or Trump's grip on reality is even more tenuous than we thought. It's A. The answer is A. Okay. 1. In The Dark Knight Returns, Bruce Wayne is never really the Bruce Wayne we know and love. So, if it was, in fact, that version of the character, the president sure is interested in some weird business. Shocking. And 2, seriously, they were filming a movie in his building, and his first instinct is that the actor coming to meet him is really a rich businessman who just acts on the side. No, you took a lot of words to say that. He really thought he was Bruce Wayne there.
Okay. Lindsay actually brought up a really damn good point, and I went and verified it, and she's absolutely 100% right. She said, Christian Bale has a notorious reputation for being a method actor. Are they sure that he wasn't acting as Bruce Wayne and Trump was going along with it? And this is from the New York Film Academy. I'll insert this little excerpt here. As far as method acting goes, you'd be hard-pressed to name someone more committed than Daniel Day-Lewis. I'm waiting for Polly's acting actor man, but other
man, there's no question. I didn't want to interfere.
What if it was Daniel Day-Lewis acting as Christian Bale, acting as Batman? Boom, meta.
There you go.
I was actually just chewing ice, and I know people don't like that, so I was muted there.
But other actors which have famously refused to break character and taken the method acting to the extreme include Joaquin Phoenix, Kate Winslet, Christian Bale, Jack Nicholson, Adrian Brody, and Robert De Niro. So, yes.
Yeah, I mean, Christian Bale does famously hold his role as a method actor. At the very least, he refuses to break character, which is partially method acting, but not entirely. But whatever, that's getting into the weeds with it. During the entire, when he is doing a role with an American accent, he never breaks his American accent. Or whatever accent he's required to do, because it's like, I don't want my English accent slipping out. I remember him saying that in an interview. People on the set of American Psycho only found out he was British that didn't know otherwise when filming was done and he started talking in his normal accent again, or his native accent again. So yeah, it's like, was Trump playing along? Like, I just love people that think that Trump is like literally a retard. Like they're willing to believe that like this guy's like childlike imagination or childlike thought processes. It's like, come on. Like, do you really believe a bunch of garbage tier writers, over at the Mary Sue, that you have the ability to psychoanalyze somebody from a distance to grant it number 1 this, grant it number 2 that. Now, if we unpack and look at the details of 3, we can see that back in number 1. I mean, fuck you guys, man. Anyway.
Yeah, this is just sad desperation.
Like, let's see if there's anything in here that's like, or does he just think Batman is real too? Yeah, let's just reach. I have so many questions and I just want to know how. In what world does this man live? Blah, blah, Orange Man bad. Maybe we watched American Psycho one time too many and thought, yeah, okay, fuck you, you're off topic. Or does he really just love Batman? He saw a prime opportunity to do some LARPing. Okay, okay. Whatever the case may be, I'm absolutely fascinated by this story because it allows you to write something that comes down to Orange Man bad. I hope someone explains how normal movies work to the president soon. You're a retard. Maybe because he's probably very confused by the war in the stars that took place a really long time ago. Star Wars reference.
I made a pop culture reference.
This was supposed to make me laugh. It just made me angry. Fuck.
Because they get dumber every day, dude. I'm telling you, all these people's names, Princess Weeks, that's somebody's cat's name.
Yeah, I like your idea that Princess Weeks is actually the cat of Rachel Leishman.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just writing from the cat's perspective.
What was it, like Prince Meow Meow or something like that?
Lord Meowington.
Lord Meowington.
Lord Meowington.
See, Lord Meowington has children with Princess Weeks, and they had a small litter, and they are all living happily in the spare bedroom right now.
Dude, Princess Weeks is oh god, what is it? A guinea pig. Because weak is the sound that guinea pigs make.
Oh, that's a possibility.
Yeah.
In which case, Lord Meowington may just stare into the cage hauntingly at her.
Duck dogs.
Paw on glass.
Welsh. Christian Bale is Welsh. Did I call him English or did I call him?
Yeah, whatever. Those English. People are all the same.
Yeah, okay. He's Welsh. That's cool.
He's UKan. What are they? Ux? The United Kingdom.
Well. All right, let's see.
Better to be an uck than a Canuck.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's not exactly a high bar to stand on.
So, yeah, we might as well do it, huh? DC Vertigo.
Now, okay,
here we go.
Here's full disclosure, guys. I don't know what this is about. Like, I have some sort of inkling, but I did not delve into the drama, so I don't necessarily know what this is all about.
Jack, why don't you go inform Quiz and our audience who does not know what's going on here?
Well, what's going on is a young lady who used to work with a DC Vertigo writer came out and made some accusations against him. And she posted it on her, blog spot. And I will read what she posted because I can. And I already took down my porn, so shouldn't be that big of a deal.
I think I remember at least a little bit of this. I had bookmarked this for later, and I read, I think, like the first paragraph, but it's really, really long. Yeah,
it is fairly lengthy. I'm just going to hit kind of the main talking points here. This is X, my experience with my abuser, posted December 9th, 2018. And she talks about sexual, emotional, and mental abuse, about how this guy was manipulating her. It was basically a battered wife kind of situation where he was like telling her how to dress, poo-pooing the comics she would read. They both worked together at this comic shop. Now, these are only allegations. We don't have any proof that it's true, but I've worked with a lot of sex assault victims, and this is pretty similar stuff. So she talks about how after she broke up with her boyfriend, and this started around 2012, 2013, the guy that she worked with at the comic shop started coming on to her. It was her new manager. We'll call him X. X acted like my friend. He was there for me during my breakup, listened. Then one day while we were having a conversation about my breakup, the topic of our intimacy came up. He got closer, put his hand on my hip and lower. He kissed me and invited me to his place during our lunch break. I said yes. He lived right next to our work behind a fast food place. Immediately, he starts taking off my clothes. I couldn't stop shaking. I couldn't say anything but, I'm nervous, I'm nervous, I'm nervous. I couldn't look at him. Then he slaps my face. I couldn't do anything after that. I let it all happen and went straight to work. I wanted to forget without giving details. There wasn't an ounce of love in what just happened to me. And she goes on about this, about him grabbing her clothes, her feelings of humiliation. He wanted to share her. He was in some sort of polyamorous relationship. He would pressure her into having sex. Now, remember, this is her manager. And in most states, this would be considered rape. If you are in a position of power over someone and use that position to force them to have sex with you, that's considered rape.
Yeah.
So what she's describing, she even uses the word rape in here. And it's pretty disturbing how controlling the guy was. And what she says is pretty detailed. Well, she didn't say his name, but there's enough information here that if you look, you could figure it out. And, of course, the internet did its job and immediately found out who the guy was. So that led to the fact that he was nominated for an award from Multiversity Comics, coming out and pulling his name from that. And he is the writer for Border Town.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Yeah. We talked about Border Town previously on Comic Book Curation Live, and lots of people talked about it.
We've done a live review of the first issue.
Yeah.
Oh, so
it's full of, I don't even want to talk
garbage.
about Border Town. It's virtue signaling to the max.
Bounding Into Comics covered it as well.
Yeah, I got that article up. I was about to read it.
Oh yeah, go for it. I'll let you read it.
Hold on.
I'm gonna find. There's another tweet involved in this.
Cool, because this article does cover the tweets, at least the first one from the. Okay, so anyway. Vertigo Comics creator accused of abuse and sexual misconduct. On Sunday, a woman by the name of Cynthia Noggle sought to come forward with a story of abuse and sexual misconduct she had received in the past from an unnamed comic book creator. Noggle tweeted out a link to her personal Blogspot page, wherein she recounted her story for the public, the one that Jack just recounted for you. She then tweeted out the following. A couple of days ago, I sent a letter to my abuser. I've decided I want to tell my story. He works in the comic book industry. After I sent him the letter, he deactivated his social media accounts except Twitter. This is one of the hardest things that I've done. And then the link to her Blogspot blog. In the post, Noggle recalls how she was, quote, sexually, mentally, and emotionally abused by someone she thought was her friend, and states that she is coming out for many reasons. And here's the text. Noggle details in many instances of mental abuse, sexual coercion, and sexual harassment she received from the individual in question. These include pressuring her into unwanted sexual encounters, including a menage a trois involving her alleged abuser's girlfriend. She would go on to detail other sporadic instances of misconduct. Noggle's full statement in the extent of the misconduct directed towards her can be read on her Blogspot page. As we said, it is evident from her writing that these events have taken a very serious toll on her mental and emotional well-being. After Noggle had composed a letter to her abuser and built up the mental fortitude to send it to him, she felt the response she received trivialized her experience. 3 days ago, I sent him a very long email about what he did to me. It was basically this post. He responded in less than 5 minutes. He apologized, said he remembers things differently, and he'll never see me at any of the same conventions, and he'll remove me from all social medias. And he's there if I need to talk. Wow.
How creepy is that?
I don't even have words for that. That's special creepy. You're accusing me of, like, you know, causing you mental abuse and anguish and sexually assaulting and, you know, so forth me. But I'm here if you want to talk. Like, oh my God. I just.
Well, and we can. prove that he was, related to this because he worked at the comic shop and the Tucson Weekly covered him being there.
Yeah.
Like, it's easy to draw a line because she's left other conversation things in her blog posts about this place that she worked. And here he is at the shop with an article about him. So it narrows it down pretty easily because she said, well, he's a DC Vertigo writer. I worked with him at this comic shop. And we saw him at conventions at the Tucson Comic Con. And here it is talking about him being at the Tucson Comic Con. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some story there, some credibility.
Her ongoing response to this is, it took him less than 5 minutes to read, process, and respond to a very long, detailed letter. It took me months and many rewrites to figure out how to say what I wanted to. Reliving it all, having to go to therapy, having to tell my family and my friends about this, talking with other women he's hurt. Other women he's hurt. And he barely skimmed through it, clearly. And I don't know what you're talking about. Well, Noggle did not directly name her abuser. It was not long before members of the public were able to parse through the few identifying traits Noggle had discussed in her post to discover the identity of her alleged abuser, Eric M. Esquivel, current writer of Border Town for DC Comics. Well, technically for Vertigo, DC Comics imprint. This video you see right here is by that umbrella guy, Tug. I highly recommend you check it out. Unnamed Vertigo Comics Pro accused of abuse in online journal. Tug doesn't name him by name either, but he's like, if you want to figure it out, you can just go do so on your own, kind of thing. This led to some other things that happened on social media that I want to talk about as soon as we get to the end of this article.
I also believe that I think that this is what Tug brought up when he was on our 300 stream. As a sort of
I got a strong feeling about it. Then again, it also had a lot to do with he was dealing with the he did a number of episodes following that, a number of videos about I can't remember their name right now. Doesn't make a difference. It was somebody who was on the side of Comicsgate and then took off right away. Oh, the name's escaping me.
Oh, Late Night Comics.
No, it was
Mindy Wheeler.
Thank you, Wheelers. There you go. It was I'm down with Comicsgate for all of like 6 months, and then I'm out of it. And while I agree with all the Comicsgate main points, I disagree with all of the evil people within it and blah, blah. It's like, really? A giant hashtag movement that doesn't have like membership cards? You disagree with some of the people in this mass? That's shocking.
I still haven't gotten my Comicsgate decoder ring yet.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's a general distaste for the way that things are moving within the comic books industry. Quit acting like, we all get together and have meetings with Punch and Pie. Like, Jesus.
There's Punch?
In any case.
I don't really like pie.
I like pie. This article finishes as follows. Noggle notes that the person in question was the marketing manager of a comic book shop where Noggle was employed. Moving from Tucson to Los Angeles, appeared at the Tucson Comic Con in 2018, and had also recently released a new book through DC's Vertigo imprint. According to her Facebook page, Noggle had previously employed at Heroes and Villains comic book store, the same comic book shop where Esquivel was previously employed as the marketing specialist. Through Esquivel was a longtime resident, though I can't talk here, guys. I'm on an empty stomach and I've had 2 Monster drinks. I'm like, whoo. So anyway, yeah, I'm jittery, man. My eyes are jumping. Through Esquivel, though Esquivel was a longtime resident of Tucson, Esquivel left his native Tucson, presumably around 2013, as evidence. So they're just connecting the various facts that this is indeed the guy. As of writing, Esquivel has not responded to the accusation. He has instead deleted all of his social media accounts, save his Twitter account, which he has set on protected mode. DC Comics has also yet to publicly respond to Noggle's accusations. Gee, I wonder why. Because in the era of hashtag Me Too, you're supposed to believe all women. Do you want to believe this person? Or now when it's not going in the direction that you want, it's time for due process and skeptical consideration of accusations to take place. And the video that I mentioned here, as you see it right there, that Umbrella Guy's video up on his main channel, it covers all of the details of it quite well. And Tug is pretty balanced with it. He gets a little coy with I'm not going to name the person, but you can find out who they are if you want, and says it several times. So it's like, other than that, though, he is pretty balanced with the way that he handles it. He just talks about what she says. Now, going on to Twitter, you will find no shortage of anti-comicsgaters, in other words, weirdo stalkers that spend all day fucking with people they don't know. And I'm not talking criticism of a comic book the way DNC would, and they called that stalking. I mean legit stalking. A dozen tweets a day aimed at the same fucking person. Making up things like Renfamous, who never, and SJW Spider-Man, who never get tired, it seems, of pointing out that, oh my God, your boy Zach was in Charlottesville and he was obviously there to participate in the white nationalist march. He's a white nationalist. That's the level of intimation and smearing that they're willing to engage in. You should have seen the reaction to the Umbrella Guys video, where it's, you're weaponizing a woman's pain for the sake of your own. And it's like, no, this is an example of, you are both self-proclaimed SJWs, self-proclaimed left progressives, and self-proclaimed we need to believe all women, #MeToo. Now, when it comes to this, you're suddenly backing down off of it and don't want to talk about the woman's accusations, want to talk about how comics gators are supposedly weaponizing what she's saying. This fucking hell, man. This stuff just gets me really upset. This is why I want to talk. Have a coffee with Renfamous and not ask her anything about comic books or politics. Just find out what kind of person she is that she does this stuff all day. I find her fascinating and worrying at the same time.
It's unhealthy. The mental gymnastics go through this, because sexual assault is not a pro or con side. It's just wrong.
Yes.
It's something everybody should be able to agree on. They're not weaponizing someone's pain by talking about something awful that happened that this person's being accused of. If that's true, then every news outlet is guilty of weaponizing someone's pain.
This is the problem. Okay, this is what I keep on talking about factionalization, about tribalism, is the fact that they're not going to think about it that way. The reason why they say it's weaponizing is because you're using it against someone that spoke up for our side.
Yeah.
And are using it as a bludgeon against our side, when it's just, these are the facts. This is what happened. This is what she claimed happened. I don't think anyone's sitting there going like, put the guy's head on a pike or anything like that. I'm sure that there probably are. Don't get me wrong. I'm absolutely, fairly certain that there would probably be those kinds of people. But by the same token, she's not talking about them. She's talking about that Umbrella guy.
Yeah.
Who didn't do that.
And the real problem is the hypocrisy of it, that when Chris Hardwick was accused by his ex-girlfriend, she immediately jumped on Twitter and said, listen and believe.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in this circumstance, she wouldn't even condemn this guy. So that's fine, but you have to have the same standard for everyone.
Yeah.
You can't have it both ways. Nothing can work that way.
Yes, I understand that. That's the point that I think people like Tug are trying to bring up, is the blatant hypocrisy of not her and not the alleged victim or the alleged perpetrator, but of the people that are, drumming up public sentiment either for or against someone based around accusations.
Yeah, and it's really hard to tell if what she's saying is true or not. We don't know, and we probably never will know, because there was no police report filed. If she goes to the cops and fills out a report, eventually we'll find out some more information. But until somebody comes to the police or the court and goes through the motions, we're not going to know who's right. We just have to go by who's more believable, and you just have to make your best kind of guess and go from there. A lot of these accusations have come out to be false in the past, but the hypocrisy of saying, all right, well, let's hear what she has to say, look for the evidence, innocent until proven guilty, that all gets chucked out of the window when it's somebody you don't like. But when it's somebody you do like,
well, if I can channel my inner Jim Healis here, that's exactly the same on the opposite coin then too, because now like everyone who would normally say listen believe is a lie, don't listen and believe is all bullshit, they're listening and believing her because it's against someone that they don't like.
Well, yeah, absolutely, but you know, at the same time, there's already somebody else coming out and saying this post from one of her friends back in 2009, 2010. She received I received a call from someone I'm close with and missed her stopping. She told me that the person mentioned in the link below had struck her back in 2013 while in my presence. Someone I was close with received a photo via Snapchat of the aforementioned individual's dick. No context, no warning, unsolicited. In private, I've confided these issues with Cynthia when they had occurred, as they were not necessarily my stories to tell or act on. However, upon hearing what happened to Cynthia, amongst so many others coming out now, I'm not going to shut up about this. And fuck him, it's on site.
Yeah.
So there's some people corroborating some of what she said. Now, if these other people that this girl talked about in her blog post come forward too and start, you know, then maybe there's more going to come out. And there's rumor that this was talked about behind closed doors at DC already.
Yeah.
Before this came out.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
wow.
Yellow Flash did a video that was fairly interesting on this, but
yeah.
I'll say to be fair, you know, I'm just saying that you know
I agree. I'm just putting the evidence out there, let people make their own decision. I don't know if he did it or not. These are allegations, and that's all they are until something else comes out.
And that is not necessarily evidence. It's still hearsay. So
well, it's corroboration, and you know,
it's testimony, but it's
what's going on with this is that, like, you know, I'll go on a Monkey Stream, or I'll be talking to other people, and the comicsgate thing comes up, and it, in some ways, is obviously related to Gamergate, hence the name similarity. It is a lot of similarity in terms of comic book journalists, and we go to CBR and we go to Mary Sue and Bleeding Cool, and we see the journos reflecting in a certain industry narrative that they want. So there's similarity in that way in Comicsgate. But Comicsgate is also, excuse me, taken off to social media in a way where there's accusations that happen of stuff like this, and then there's the doxings and the so on. I didn't follow Gamergate to that kind of detail. I don't know if those things happened in it, but we're going to cover in an upcoming episode, which is like, I kind of want to do it and I kind of don't, because it's really miring yourself in the muck. And I don't mean getting into it yourself. I just mean discussing the things. DNC, your boy Zach, put up a video. What would it have been, Jack? 3 days ago, 4 days ago?
Yeah, something like that.
Called 24 Hours in the Life of a Veteran Being Stalked Online. Words to those effect. God damn, was it hard to watch. It was, and I don't think it was a good idea for him to have done that. Terrible. In my opinion. Okay. It's kind of like, I understand the temptation to do it. I understand why he did it. DNC is his own man. He can handle it. It's fine. But I don't think it was a good idea overall, if I were to offer my opinion, for whatever that's worth. He goes through the video and just describes, he's the veteran that he's describing. And he's, like an actual military veteran. And he's like, this is what I deal with in only 24 hours of online bullshit from these people. And scrolling through the claims that are made at him, the insults that are laid out at him, the smearing of him, talking about the Charlottesville thing that I referred to previously with, he was there. Renfamus repeatedly refers to him as, his real name is Richard Meyer because he got doxxed. It repeatedly refers to him as Richard, I was only in Charlottesville to buy a Black Panther comic, Meyer. Over and over again. SJW Spider-Man does the same thing. Like, he's there. He's got the comic. He actually holds it up in one selfie, not for like proof, but it's just like, holy shit. I was just trying to find this Black Panther comic and look at all this shit that's going on the same day as this. And they're like, oh yeah, very likely. Who was it that accused him of? He was standing right there and unheroically did nothing to stop the murder of that poor girl.
Yeah, he was like 2 blocks away.
In front of the car?
Well, yeah, he was right there in the sense that he was 2 blocks away. He wasn't right there to jump in front of the car. Like, you realize he's literally not a superhero, right?
Yeah, if you go watch his video, there's like some people milling around, but he wasn't anywhere near the actual event. He just happened to be in the same city. You know what? Lots of people were in the city that had nothing to do with that event.
Like and I bring up all these points to sort of lay a groundwork for the level of the fever pitch that things rise to in certain circles within anti-comicsgate and comicsgate, where it's like, it's intense, y'all. Like, I don't think Zach is exaggerating when he says these are not people that are looking to disgrace you or get people to not buy your comics. These are people that are looking to get you fired, kicked out of your house, injured, or killed. That's what they're doing. And I'm like, yep. And he goes, is it so hard to believe that somebody spotting me in public is going to come crank me over the back of the head with something heavy? And it's like, no, it's not hard for me to believe that, because if they move within their own circles, the circles of like anti-comicsgate, social justice warriors, progressive liberals, it's just like not insulting names. They believe they're progressive liberals, you know, and they need to smash the fash, because these people are literally bad actors. Zach and his company are bad actors. They're white nationalists. We hear it all the time. This guy was literally at Charlottesville. He's an alt-right white nationalist. This guy is awful. And he's out here denigrating progressive comics or progressive comic book writers. He's against LGBTQ creators. He hates trans creators. He hates people of color. He doesn't even like people of color writing comics. Imagine you hear all these things, and then you spot the guy in public. And Zach's like, I think they are angering people to the point where it's like, or literally as if they're trying to get you fucking killed.
Well, the thing that really gets me about it is the fact that, number one, it's a lie. They're doing all of this on a lie. Number two, it's already happened. Jeremy Hambley was attacked at Gen Con.
Yeah. Okay, look, but fuck, I didn't even great example. Like, it's like, oh, well, it's never going to get to that moment. What are you talking about? It already has.
Yeah.
Some guy who's like, you know, I fight Nazis for a living. I'm a big tough guy. He just spotted Hambley, rolled up and said, are you him? Are you Jeremy from the quartering? Yeah. Starts to try beating the shit out of him. What if he had a heavy implement of some kind in his hand? Wasn't just punching him?
I mean,
what happens if he had got a stronger fucking punch in and like broke his jaw or some shit?
Well, Jeremy Hambley had several blood vessels burst in his eye.
Yeah, it's like, it's lucky the guy didn't get any cleaner, more right angle shots in. He could have really fucked him right up.
Yes.
And it's like, is it like, now Hambley's a big guy, but they call him like the gentle giant. And it's like, Zach's no small guy. He's huge. He's pretty big.
But if you're sitting down with your back to someone like Hambley was, you're not going to see it coming.
That's what I'm saying. That I hear you exactly. Like, you know, it's just, wait a minute. That's that guy. Look, he's got the weird haircut and everything. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Holy fuck. Like, it's, and they're trying
grab
to do
the tire iron. I see supercuts over there.
I really think they are up to that level. It's they want you fired. They want it. Look what happened to Tug. He gets calls at his place of work where, did you know that an employee of yours is part of an online hate group? And not just one call, but two. And here's two articles that support that, you know, one names him by name, the other one does not. But this is Comicsgate. This is what he's part of. They hate LGBTQ people. They hate trans people. They hate people of color. And this guy is one of the minor lieutenants within that movement, and he works for you. Can you imagine? And then Tug gets called into the office with his employers. And can you imagine being asked to come in and sit down and say, so why is it that you're part of an online hate group? And it's like, what? Like,
well, and how do you prove that you're innocent? Because you're assumed to be guilty automatically.
Well, and the problem is that you can't really deny that you're part of this movement. Now you're stuck in this really weird position of saying, no, Comicsgate ain't about that. And it ain't about that. But now you've got, because these people, meaning the comic book pros, or unpros as we're calling them now, because they're thoroughly unprofessional, and the anti-comic skaters out there, like, you know, the Renfamouses, SJW Spider-Man, and Tim Doyles of the world, spent so much time filling so much of the internet space with online hate group, anti-LGBT, anti-this, anti-that, and Bleeding Cool is helping out, and Mary Sue's helping out. There's no shortage of articles on this, all the way to the Washington Post. There's even an article in the Washington Post about the hate group that is Comicsgate. I mean, that's the level of seriousness, the pitch that it's reached. It's fucking mind blowing.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So how about we go on to something fun and do our pitches?
Yeah, that's a great call. Let's do the pitches. Yeah, this Jim Hewlett says, I actually went to my director in advance to let him know that shit like this might happen. His only comment, quote, good luck with them getting through the phone tree for HR.
Dude, I'm part of a online hate group. You might get a call.
You know what? I would this brought to mind this comedic moment. Like, you know, imagine like you call up and it's like, I want to get a hold of HR, and it's like, press 1 if you'd like to talk to HR. 1. Press 1 if you have a report of LGBTQ hate. Press 2 if you have a report of POC hatred. Press 3 if your feelings have been hurt. Press 4 if you. Oh fuck. Okay, you know, there's a thought that I did had as my final offering on this. It's like we got to do a thing in the future, because we don't pull up people's tweets on Comic Book Curation Live a lot. I think we have like here and there just as like a point, but scrolling through someone's tweets, we've never done that. But honestly, instead of saying so-and-so said something like this or words to the effect of, it's best to let them speak for themselves by simply showing like, look, we're not making this up. This is what this person said. But God, wouldn't that be such a downer of an episode, guys? Like
a little bit. Yeah.
I'd probably be bored.
Well, it's like if we're gonna do it, we'd have to like think about what we're gonna do and definitely make sure Jim was available to keep us calm, you know. To have him come on in and just repeatedly say, yeah, and that's why I don't deal with comicsgate over and over again.
Well, me and Shady were talking in chats, and like a lot of us were pointing out the hypocrisy of Renfamous online and how she rushes to judgment and then doesn't like rush to judgment on people that are associated with her, like we were saying. And he said, I'm going to wait for the facts to come out. Well, that's what normal people do. That's what everybody should be doing. So with the allegations like this, let's all just take a step back, take a breath, and not rush to lynch anyone.
It doesn't. Here's the way I see it. Like, you know, people talk about, oh, and this guy writes this. Yeah, there is a certain irony in it that he writes Border Town. You know, super progressive. Remember the scene with the principal?
Yeah.
Talking to the Asian student? And he's like all creepy sexually advancing on her in his office. And he's like, you're exotic and blah, 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 blah. And it's like,
that? That's so weird.
I mean, it's just, who does anything or talks anything like they do in that comic, man? God damn. So are you a white nationalist or what? What student actually asks that of another student the first time they meet? Like, what is this, Evergreen State College?
Valid point.
They're adults, Polly.
Holy shit. I don't know. Just sometimes this stuff gets, but yeah, pitches. Let's move on. Who would like to go first? Quiz. It was your idea.
All right.
Good job, Quiz.
In continuing with my tradition, and I'm not going to break, unlike Polly did once during his month. This is the month that the chapter approved book is coming out.
Hold on.
What?
Sorry, I was like, I can't interrupt. No, I'm going to interrupt. When did I break during Frank Miller month?
You had one pitch that wasn't a Frank Miller comic.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did. Go back and rewatch.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, I'll just go. Okay. I don't remember that, but anyway. Okay. Sorry. Anyway, it's it's Warhammer month. Let's go on with that.
It's the month that, it's actually next week. This Saturday is the pre-order, and it arrives on Sunday. Is the new chapter approved? So I'm pitching because it's going to be topical for this next weekend. Original story by Kev Walker, script by Gordon Rennie and Kev Walker, art by Carl Richardson, Chris Williams, letters by Fiona Stephenson, editors Mark Gassioni and Christian Dunn, cover by Adrian Smith. My pitch for this week is, hold on, let me do it this way. Here we go. Daemonifuge.
That's a pretty cool name, actually. Hold
Yeah.
on, let me present you. There you go.
Essentially, this is the story of a Seraphim Sister Superior from the Order of Our Martyred Lady, who was part of a convent that was setting up a mission on a planet when the entire Order of Sisters were killed. She was the sole survivor, and a group traveling to the convent had found her and brought her back to the main convent on Ophelia 7, where she tells of a demonic conspiracy, and all of her sisters were sacrificed to one of the chaos gods, Slanesh. And all of the sisterhood, her small convent, all of their souls were concentrated in their sacrifice and gave her all of their combined knowledge and experience, and tore her all the way across the galaxy to save her from the same fate that befell them. And then, she's this sister superior with massive sorts of powers, and she's something incredibly special, which also gains the attention of the Inquisition. So she was scrutinized and put through all the rigors. She had written this book all about her tribulations, and was tasked with bringing it to the Black Library, which is a location within the Eldar's Webway, where it contains the knowledge of the entire universe. And it's, in my opinion, one of the best Warhammer stories written, not just because it's about the Sisters of Battle, but because it gets into all of the sort of, deep lore that makes Warhammer great.
Yeesh.
Cool.
The thing that blows my mind about Warhammer is it's like they're certainly not lacking creativity and the desire to create a lived-in universe. You know what I mean? Like it. Mm-hmm. Holy shit! The detail that things go to, the lore. Other science fiction series or fantasy series would do well to take note of that. I mean, Lord of the Rings works because it's got insanely established lore. Warhammer works because lore establishes a world that holds the interests of the fans. You know what I mean?
Can you believe what Polly just said?
What?
Warhammer wins because of patriarchy.
Did I say that?
That's how I heard it.
I don't think I said that.
It's got a lot of lore. That's code for colonialism.
Oh, fuck. I dog whistle so much that I don't even realize that I'm doing it sometimes.
Yeah. I actually do want to go and do a sort of rambly video. I've been working on, toying with the idea of writing a script for it too. Where I actually wanted to delve into, because a lot of people, whenever they bring up Warhammer and the story specifically, they always talk about how the Imperium is fascist. And, delving into the day-to-day lives of an Imperial citizen in some of the novels that I've read, no, it's not. Not even fucking close. So I was thinking about actually making an actual established video about it and, delving into it. I think it might be interesting. I'm just wondering if people would watch it.
People would.
No, I hope.
Back. What you got for us?
Screen share. I picked the classic Havok and Wolverine Meltdown.
Oh. I already own it, so I'm all for this. It's great. Yeah.
The legendary Walter Simonson and Louise Simonson with John Muth and Kent Williams.
Woo.
It's one of the only books of its type from this kind. It was under the Epic imprint, so it's way more adult, and it was full of these weird watercolor paintings for the art style. It was very abstract for its time in the 80s, and it was a prestige format, so it was pretty expensive. I think it was $350, which was almost triple what your average comic was at the time. And it's a 4-issue limited series where the two X-Men team up, And I'm not going to tell you a lot because I want you to go out and buy this because it's awesome. Look, Havok is face blasting Wolverine right there.
Yeah.
That's really all you need to know.
I thought it was great that they had Havok in it, just generally, because
yeah.
Sorry, this is your pitch. Go ahead. I'm really excited.
Havok's a very underused character back then, and in my opinion, and he kind of became a little more prominent because of this. But like, look at the crazy hair on Wolverine, and it's got this kind of like almost like cave painting art where it's a little abstract, which I generally don't like, but it really kind of worked for this one. So I really recommend this. It's a very interesting team up and relic of its time. And it's Walt Simonson is just an amazing writer and artist, all around talented guy. Louise Simonson is a very talented writer. It's a book nobody really talks about anymore, but they probably should take a look at. And I would definitely recommend this as a mini series over anything Marvel's putting out right now. It's fantastic. It's a fun ride with two great characters, and they're handled really well. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, that's I can't say it was a successful pitch for me because it's like you're preaching to the choir with me on that one, but yeah, absolutely 100%. It's like watercolor art. Really? Like that's
it kind of works. Look at that cover.
It so works. It so works. Like so, it's a really interesting takeoff from, especially if you need a break from digital art. Yeah, you know, like in the current year. Well, wow,
that's why I backed Red Rooster, because it had that same Brett Breitweiser has that same kind of art style, and it reminded me of Havok and Wolverine. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna get this just because. It reminds me of that book, so I don't know. It really worked in that book. I'm hoping it'll work with Red Rooster as well.
Yeah, great pitch. And what a terrific win if you pick it up used, because I mean it's not reprinted, right? Like if you just pick it up used at a comic book store, you'll find it. Like it's around, and you'll get it for like cheap. It's a total win for a used pickup. Yeah. My pitch is Excalibur #1. The reason why is we were talking about Rachel Summers earlier. And
it's right there on the cover.
Yeah, and it's just I build up the character and I talk about how she's so great, she's so interesting. Well, okay, back it up. Okay, I will. Excalibur takes place, starts right after all the X-Men were presumably killed in their battle with the Morlocks. They, meaning Kitty Pryde right here, who's my one of my all-time favorite X-Men, and Nightcrawler, believe that they are some of the lone survivors of the X-Men, the only ones not to be killed. They believe that Rachel here disappeared into the Mojo verse and to not return, that she was lost to them, lost to the X-Men. This is the issue where they all show up in, as you can see, Great Britain at the time. It's co-created by Chris Claremont and Alan Davis, and penciled by Alan Davis, written by Chris Claremont. It's that on its own should be enough to solidify its cred, because Chris Claremont is one of the greatest writers of all time, and he certainly doesn't fail here. It's the story starts off kind of sad because you have Nightcrawler and Kitty that end up hanging out with Moira McTaggart.
Moira McTaggart.
Yeah, Dr. Moira McTaggart, because just they don't know where else to go. She's a longtime friend of mutants and the X-Men. They believe all the X-Men are dead, so they're lost to the world, And then Rachel, someone they believe that was lost to them as well, unexpectedly returns, and Kitty couldn't be happier. Rachel and Kitty also share a sort of very unique bond. They're telepathically bonded, #1, and Rachel believes that she owes Kitty Pryde her life, because it's Kitty in the future, like her older self, that sent Rachel to the past to fix things that had gone so horribly wrong in the future. I'm going to send you to the past by using the Phoenix Force to do it, and you're going to fix all this, Rachel. And so they share this psychic bond, but also this sort of like out of time connection. So when Rachel reappears, it's a big deal for Kitty that her longtime friend and psychically bonded friend has returned. Captain Britain, you see off to the left there, and then Megan, who's a shape changer. Captain Britain is is Brian Braddock, twin sister of Betsy Braddock, Psylocke. He's the holder of the Captain Britain mantle, the protector of the Isles, as it were. The comic takes place, shockingly, not in New York. I know. There are
a Marvel book that doesn't take place in New York. Now, I don't believe you, Polly.
You're just getting crazy.
It's hard to believe, but it doesn't take place in New York. The entire series run happens in Britain, which is great. It is an older style of art and storytelling, to be sure. As we start to go through it, you can see this is classic Alan Davis penciling. He loves his detail. He loves his fine detail, and it is wordy. It's very talky because that's Chris Claremont. There's a lot of story to get through, and he wants all of it out there. It's not that it's verbose. It's just that it's a very talky comic, which I love. Here's the war wolves who are capable of stealing somebody's body and then wearing their skin and taking on their guys, kind of like pod people. They're Mojo's little evil servants, and they form the sort of the enemy for the first issue. You can see heavy use of a lot of panels on every page. Alan Davis is not a fan of splash pages. He wants to make as much use of every page as possible. And you get to see Rachel when she's like full on Phoenix Force. This is when Jean Grey is a powerful telepath, but they haven't given the Phoenix Force back to her yet. She does go by the code name Phoenix. Very, very powerful character. And you find out a lot about her and how the level of psychic power that she has, she can't help but read the minds of those around her. So she's in a constant state of mental effort to block hearing everybody's thoughts. So it's very tiresome for her and very tiring. The one person that she doesn't mind listening to is her friend Kitty. You get a lot to understand why it becomes a great series from this first issue. And it's a great tester. If you like the first issue, you're going to love the whole series. If you read number one, it actually runs pretty inexpensive. I saw it used for $5, which is pretty cheap for a number one issue at a local comic book shop I go to. Highly, highly recommend the entire series, mostly because the characters are really compelling. Kitty is portrayed very well in this as well as the technical genius that she is. She loves tinkering on things. Brian Braddock is the sort of the father figure. He knows that they've been through a lot. Again, they all think the X-Men are still dead, and he feels bad, and you guys can stay with me as long as you want in my big, expensive house. Kitty doesn't want any part of being a superhero anymore, but is kind of forced back into it. Just so packed with great story. Highly recommend it. So that's my pitch. Excalibur #1.
And for those of you that don't like a lot of dialogue, like I hate it, it's all relevant dialogue. It's not fluffy, stupid dialogue where they're having banter. It's relevant to what's going on. It furthers the plot.
Oh yeah, Chris Claremont is always really good about that. There's nary a superfluous word.
Yeah,
that's an interesting way to put it that I never thought of describing it. That it's all relevant dialogue. If you read X-23, it's a lot of pointless, quippy banter back and forth between people that doesn't tell you. It could be eliminated, and it wouldn't make any difference from telling you what's going on in the comic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because it's just like, oh, I love beating up baddies in the morning. I like it more than breakfast. What do you mean? Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Well, it depends. Beating up baddies can be blah, 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 blah. Like, it's just, you know what I mean? It's just stupid.
Yeah, it's puffing.
Yeah.
You're just filling space to fill space.
Yeah. Like in the scene that I just showed you there where Brian Braddock and Kitty are talking, they're all talking about things of substance. It's got to do with what's currently happening right now, what's on their mind, not an attempt at doing Marvel MCU witty banter. You know what I mean?
Witty's a stretch, but yeah, I get it.
Yeah, like, it's not witty at all. Like it's
Joss Whedon is he's good, but people need to stop emulating him.
Yeah, it's tiresome to deal with that on a regular basis. Every now and then it's fine. It's sort of like eating this bag of Doritos in front of me. You can eat a few, it's fine. But you eat a whole bag, not really good for you. Not going to help you. It's a treat.
Yeah.
So take it in small doses.
So there we are, ladies and gentlemen. Issue 24 has wrapped. Issue. God, I'm a nerd.
Well,
Episode 24.
We should do that. We should call it instead of EPs, call them issues.
You know, that's not an entirely bad idea.
No, it's pretty good.
I could retcon the whole series to be like that.
Yeah.
Oh, the Marvel way. Just change it.
Well, think about it this way, Polly. If you do, we've already put out more than Marvel does for any new book.
Because people are watching us.
Yeah, when we have more viewers than Marvel has readers, there's a problem. All right, so there it is. So yeah, final thoughts. Quiz, what do you think?
Ryan Walter says you all have many issues. Yes, I do.
That's true. You're not wrong.
Being so awesome is difficult, Ryan. Sorry.
I would say that when it comes to looking into the sort of things that you like, the universes that you like, never discredit the fact that there could be a comic book made for it. If you like Star Trek, there's comics for that. You like Star Wars, there's comics for that. Warhammer, there's comics for that. Definitely look into that. The medium of selling visual art, visual sequential art, in terms of storytelling, is vast, and you can find something that will appeal to you.
Jack?
You know what? I'm going to recommend people try and challenge themselves this week to go out to a used bookstore or a comic shop or a swap meet or something and go through some cheap bins and look at like the 50-cent books. You'll find a lot of really good stuff in there that's just not worth anything, but it's really good to read. And you'll be able to buy a big stack of books for the price of one Marvel comic.
Oh, there you go. No, that's yes. It's people joke. It's like I'm going to wait for it to be in the dollar bin, like with new stuff. It's like, yeah, I want to read it, but I don't want to drop $4 on it. You know, that kind of thing. The unfortunate price of new comics, unless it's a number one, where you start every 3 months and then it's like $8 or $9. Anyway, yeah, the dollar bin. Seriously, that's actually a good suggestion. The amount of stuff that's in there, it's not like some half ripped up cover missing Archie comic from the 1940s. Do you know what I mean? Like in the dollar bin, there's lots of great stuff that has simply been taken off the new racks that are in there. So definitely worth looking into.
Yeah, dude, I was on the road the other day and I stopped at a comic shop, and in their 25-cent box, I pulled out $40 worth of stuff. And there was stuff from the 70s in there, and it was like some really, really good stuff. So you can look forward to those reviews incoming.
And my final thoughts are, well, actually, I like what Quiz and Jack said so much that it's like, yeah, dollar bin. And if there is a fantasy world, fictional world that you like, there probably is a comic book world for it. Don't miss out on that chance. Absolutely. I would offer one, please like, subscribe, and share if you haven't already. And anybody listening in the future or anybody listening right now, if you want to leave a comment below, it's certainly appreciated. I read them all and generally get a chance to respond to them all. I also wanted to remind everyone that Quiz and I will be having comic book quickies coming up where we're just going to review individual issues, sometimes together, probably more apart, just because we can do them faster. We don't have to plan anything, right, Quiz?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. Which we're ripping off Jack's idea of just doing short 4 or 5 minute reviews rather than pitches of comics. And then you can check out Jack's material that he does daily over on Bad Comic Reviews, and you can find the link to his channel below in the description. As well, you can find the link to Quiz's channel where he does D&D stuff, figure painting, all kinds of great shit on his channel. Also, all of our Twitter handles if you want to follow us there. And yeah, that is it. All right. Merry Christmas, everybody. Have a good night.
Merry
Bye.
Christmas.